Chapter 897. When Night Sorrow was cultivating, no one could enter the array. Without anyone knowing, the 8 Hell Kings threw the nests of netherworld double-tailed bees that the 7 Evils King had brought back into the array. With the protection of the illusory array, the netherworld double-tailed bees could not penetrate the array. However, they survived and circled around the array. Since Night Sorrow did not enter the array, no one knew what was going on inside the array. Similarly, the 9 Dark King and the others did not know what was going on inside the array. Night Sorrow took 7 days to break through his cultivation level. Then he continued to stabilize his cultivation level. Every time Night Sorrow cultivated, he would take a long time. This was something everyone knew. However, no one asked about it. After all, everything was going smoothly. Other than being stationed at the spatial passageway, Taishu Yen, Lu Qin, and the others were busy with the matters of the Sacred Hall. They would often call the God-slaying squad to the Sacred Hall to teach the children. The members of the God-slaying squad did not practice the spear. However, they had seen Night Sorrow practice the spear, so they could give him some pointers. In addition, the members of the God-slaying squad were all practical and had rich combat experience. This was something that the children of the Sacred Hall needed to learn. After cultivating for 3 months, which was equivalent to 1 month in the real world, Night Sorrow came out of seclusion. At the same time, he transferred everyone out of the Spacetime Pagoda. The Spacetime Pagoda was a sacred treasure that assisted in cultivation. It could provide all kinds of energy, but it could not help improve the state of mind. Therefore, it was necessary to come out and relax. Night Sorrow nodded to his 3 fiancées and entered the array to patrol. As soon as he patrolled, he discovered a problem. His soul power immediately discovered the existence of the netherworld double-tailed bees. The netherworld double-tailed bees were flying in the Great Cycle Array and the 1000 Derivation Killing Array. However, they were only flying in a few regions. The 9 Dark King and the 8 Hell Kings felt that the netherworld double-tailed bees would spread throughout the array. However, due to the illusory array, the netherworld double-tailed bees were trapped in the same place and did not spread throughout the array. After discovering this situation, Night Sorrow naturally knew what was going on. He knew that it was a trick from the nether realm. Using the spatial precepts, Night Sorrow controlled a netherworld twin-tailed bee and put it into a bottle. After returning to the command tent, Night Sorrow called for Hua Haining and the other alchemists. When Hua Haining and the alchemist arrived, Night Sorrow took out the bottle and showed it to everyone. Who knows what species this twin-tailed bee is? Night Sorrow's Fey Book of Treasures didn't have such a record, so he had asked everyone. In fact, if even Night Sorrow didn't recognize it, the others naturally didn't. Elder Hua, take it and study it. Give me the results as soon as possible. The main thing is to see if it has any value. Then I will figure out how to solve this problem, Night Sorrow said. Hua Haining nodded and left with the alchemists. At this time, Yi Wuyo, Wu Lingfei, and Yun Tianlong all entered the command tent. What happened? Yi Wuyo asked. It's nothing. Everyone take a seat. Night Sorrow brewed tea as he explained his discovery. Son, something from the nether realm definitely isn't anything good. You have to be careful, Yu Qing said worriedly. If it's just the heavenly cycle array, it really won't be able to restrain this thing. They're small and can't withstand force. Ordinary energy attacks are ineffective. Fortunately, the 1000 Derivation Illusionary Formation is effective. It can restrict them to a certain range. I caught one for Elder Hua to study. If it's useful, we can slowly catch it. If it's useless, I'll control the illusionary formation and drive the twin-tailed bee out of the formation. I feel like this twin-tailed bee is dangerous to them, Night Sorrow analyzed. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, everyone relaxed. It's good that everything is under your control. There's also something I didn't tell you. When the God-slaying squad isn't cultivating, I'll have them guide the Holy Hall's children, said Wu Lingfei. That's a good thing. The God-slaying squad's members aren't bad. They're all young, so they can get along well with the children. It'll be beneficial to their growth, said Night Sorrow. It's good that you're out of seclusion. I have something I need you to do. Jun Xuanji entered the tent. What is it? Night Sorrow poured a cup of water for Jun Xuanji. Jun Xuanji's current performance wasn't bad. It should be said that he was very responsible. The children of the Holy Hall need pills for their cultivation. Vice Hall Head Grand Elder said that you're an alchemy grandmaster, so Chief Steward Lu Qin prepared some ingredients for you to refine. Jun Xuanji told Yi Shang his purpose. Sure, that's not a problem. As long as the materials are prepared, it'll be fine. I don't have much free time, so I'll refine as many as you can, said Night Sorrow. This storage ring is full. Do as you see fit. Jun Xuanji tossed the storage ring to Night Sorrow. All right, Lord Father. When Elder Hua has news, come to the Spacetime Pagoda, Night Sorrow said to Yi Wuyo after putting away the storage ring. Hey, don't go. The Holy Hall needs medicinal pills urgently. Jun Xuanji grew anxious when he saw that Night Sorrow was about to leave. Can't you be more stable? I'll give you the medicinal pills in 3 days. After saying that, Night Sorrow returned to his tent and entered the Spacetime Pagoda to refine. Young concubine Qing, look at Night Sorrow's attitude, said Jun Xuanji unhappily. Haha, I'll bring you the medicinal pills later. You should also rest for 2 days, said Yu Qing with a smile. Jun Xuanji told Yu Qing that Night Sorrow's attitude was a problem, but it was useless. Let alone her, no one would be able to get Yu Qing to reprimand Night Sorrow. In Yu Qing's eyes, her son was always right and perfect. On the 73rd floor of the Spacetime Pagoda, Night Sorrow opened the storage ring that Jun Xuanji had brought and helplessly shook his head. He had really worked hard. The storage ring was full of materials from Tier 1 to Tier 4. Yi Shang would not be able to refine level 5 medicinal pills to the best quality. This was something that Tai Shu Yen knew. Therefore, she did not need to trouble Yi Shang to refine level 5 medicinal pills. She could just let Yi Shang refine level 1 to level 4 medicinal pills. After refining for 7 days, Night Sorrow finally finished refining the pills. Of course, only 2 days had passed in the outside world. After exiting the Spacetime Pagoda, Night Sorrow went to the command tent and threw the storage ring to Jun Xuanji. You guys are really ruthless. You took out a storage ring full of materials. But now that it's all medicinal pills, it should be enough. Not bad. You still have a lot of use as a hall master. I'm leaving. Jun Xuanji took the storage ring and left. She was especially concerned about the Saint Hall's matters. Too rude, said Shang Luo, who was guarding here. Saint Shang, you don't need to mind. It's nothing. This also shows that she has really let go of everything in her heart, said Night Sorrow with a smile. While everyone was talking, Hua Haining entered the tent. Young master, we have a result after 2 days of research. The twin-tailed wasp is extremely poisonous. If we were to talk about its value, it would be in refining poison, said Hua Haining. Many thanks, brothers and sisters, for your hard work in digging up a chapter of Myriad Tao Becomes a God. Chapter 898. Then catch some and turn them into poison. Send the rest back to them. A basket of books. Night Sorrow said after some thought. Then, Night Sorrow took the pill bottle Hua Haining had given him and entered the formation to catch the netherworld two-tailed bees. Normal people wouldn't be able to catch them. The netherworld two-tailed bees were fast, small, and poisonous. They were very dangerous. However, Night Sorrow had the laws of space. He suppressed them with his power of space and threw them into the bottle. After 3 days, Night Sorrow caught more than 300 bees. When he felt that it was enough, he controlled the formation and led the netherworld two-tailed bees to the nether realm. To others, the formation was a forbidden area, but to Night Sorrow, it was his territory. With a casual change in guidance, he led the netherworld two-tailed bees to the nether realm. The magma flames had been extinguished by the netherworld tree's netherworld energy. However, the ancient netherworld tree had consumed a lot of energy. In addition, the ancient netherworld tree's netherworld energy was useless against the netherworld two-tailed bees. They were of the same element and were equally poisonous. After passing through the ancient netherworld tree's poisonous gas, the netherworld two-tailed bees began attacking the nether realm's troops. Fire speed, protect yourselves with alchemic fire. Only fire can drive the netherworld two-tailed bees away. 8 Hell King shouted and covered himself with alchemic fire. The 8th Hell King's notification came very quickly, but the netherworld twin-tailed bees still caused quite a bit of damage to the netherworld warriors. Some of the netherworld warriors who couldn't react in time were attacked by the netherworld twin-tailed bees. The result of being poisoned was death. Only after hearing 8 Hell King's words did the nether realm's troops use alchemic fire to protect themselves. The netherworld two-tailed bees passed through and flew away. 7 Fiends King did a head count. Hundreds of people had died, including a few bloodbath death guards. This made 9 Shade King very angry. We have to break the formation. That's their territory, 8 Hell King said. The 9 Dark Monarch nodded. She knew that this was the truth. As long as the formation was not broken, there was no possibility of suppressing the 9 domain world. After releasing the netherworld twin-tailed hornets, Night Sorrow used the netherworld ancient tree to check the situation. He found that the damage to the netherworld realm camp was still quite significant. He was very satisfied. He felt that the 9 domain world could do the same. He could get some poisonous creatures and send them to the netherworld realm camp. After another round of observation, Night Sorrow returned to the command tent. How is it? Asked Wu Lingfei. Not bad. We've caused a few hundred casualties. Also, I'm wondering if we should send some poisonous creatures over, Night Sorrow said. Then I'll arrange for people to go to our world to look for the poison, Hua Haining said. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and said, all right, I'll research some more poisons. When I have time, I'll go to their world and mess around. Isn't that a little dangerous? Yu Qing was a little worried. Mom, don't worry. I'm now a 4-star saint, and I've completely comprehended the laws of space. Tearing through space won't be a problem, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Yu Qing nodded. She knew that Night Sorrow was very strong, but she was still a little worried. After letting Hua Haining research the poisons, Night Sorrow went to the Holy Hall to accompany the children for a few days. He also went to see Ning Qingfeng's family as they hadn't seen each other in a long time. Night Sorrow's arrival made Ning Qingfeng and Han Lin very happy. Ning Yun, who was already 12, was very close to Night Sorrow. Uncle, can you accept me as your disciple? Ning Yun looked at Night Sorrow eagerly. Haha, I'm still young. I can't accept disciples, but I can teach you whatever you want to learn, said Night Sorrow. Then in a few years you can accept me as your disciple. Ning Yun's eyes were full of light. We'll talk about it when the time comes. You're so young, but you're already in the middle stage of the essence-gathering realm. It shows that you're very hard-working, said Night Sorrow. It's like this. Every once in a while we'll go to the Holy Hall to bring a few children back and let them feel the warmth of a family. So Yun'er wants to cultivate with them, but the Holy Hall doesn't accept children who have families, Han Lin said. Let me think about it. Ning Yun has known me since he was very young. I'll guide him in his cultivation in the future. He can go to the Holy Hall, but don't use the resources of the Holy Hall. I'll take care of the resources, Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. After having dinner with Ning Qingfeng and Han Lin, Night Sorrow took Ning Yun to the Holy Hall. Seeing Night Sorrow bring a child over, Taishu Yen and Jun Xuanji, who were guiding the child, were very surprised. Ning Yun, Chiyue, who was cultivating, shouted. Ning Yun also waved his hand. Chiyue was one of the children that Ning Qingfeng and Han Lin often brought home. Grand Uncle, Martial Uncle, Elder Jun, this child has known me for a long time. He has always wanted to cultivate with me. It's not convenient for me to bring him with me, so I put him in the Holy Hall to cultivate with everyone. As for the resources he needs, I'll pay for it. Night Sorrow took out 30 upper-level spirit stones and gave them to Jun Xuanji. The Holy Hall doesn't lack the cultivation resources of a child. Besides, the resources used in the early stage of the Holy Hall were all provided by you. Jun Xuanji shook his head. Night Sorrow thought for a while and didn't insist. Ning Yun, be yourself. Don't have any sense of superiority. Get along well with your friends. You can take them home to play when you're not cultivating, Night Sorrow said to Ning Yun. Uncle, don't worry. Ning Yun will remember Uncle's teachings. Ning Yun bowed to Night Sorrow. Well, Uncle can rest assured. Night Sorrow patted Ning Yun's shoulder. Uncle, when you want to take a disciple, you must think of me, Ning Yun said. Okay. If Uncle wants to take a disciple, you will be the first. Night Sorrow finished speaking and nodded to Jun Xuanji and Taishu Yen before leaving the Holy Hall. I saw you last time. You and your mother sent our Holy Hall's child back. Jun Xuanji looked at Ning Yun and said. Ning Yun also remembers Auntie. Ning Yun nodded to Jun Xuanji. This little guy is not bad. In the future he will cultivate with everyone. Jun Xuanji waved his hand and called the teacher to arrange things for Ning Yun. Ning Yun bowed to Jun Xuanji and Taishu Yen before leaving the square with the teacher. Amazing. He is the first disciple of the commander. This may be because the commander has concerns. Otherwise he would be the commander's first disciple, Taishu Yen said. In Qingxing Cottage, Ning Qingfeng and Han Lin sat facing each other. The commander is our family's great benefactor. If he hadn't bought me and my son back then and saved you, our family would have been torn apart. Now what is his status as the commander of 2 realms? Saint, if Yun-er works hard, there will be no problems in his future. Ning Qingfeng happily drank a big mouthful of wine. Yes, Yun-er still needs to work hard. When he comes back we have to talk to him properly and not embarrass him, Han Lin said. Download Myriad Dao Becomes a God for free. Chapter 899. After arranging Ning Yun's matters, Night Sorrow left the sacred hall and returned to the spatial passage. He drank and chatted with the members of the god-slaying team. Night Sorrow also told everyone about Ning Yun. He really liked Ning Yun. When he was at the Pure Heart Villa, that child had brought a lot of joy to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow had considered whether he should let Ning Yun cultivate the myriad Tao Tome, but after thinking about it, he gave up. No one knew better than Night Sorrow how painful it was to cultivate the myriad Tao Tome. He hoped that Ning Yun could achieve something, but he also hoped that Ning Yun could have a happy childhood. In Night Sorrow's heart, he didn't care about the achievements of the people around him. As long as they could be happy and healthy, he would work hard to create a peaceful and stable world. After drinking with the members of the god-slaying team, Night Sorrow returned to his tent and chatted with the girls. He was not in a hurry to cultivate in the Spacetime Treasure Pagoda. He needed to calm down. After resting for a night, Night Sorrow was stunned when he was eating breakfast in the morning. He had received some news. The news was obtained by Night Sorrow's clone from the 9 Regions Origin Energy Shield. There was a change in a space suppressed by Clear Sky City, and Night Sorrow's clone could not leave the 9 Regions Origin Energy Shield to investigate. Night Sorrow called the higher-ups of the 2 worlds who were in the spatial passage to the command tent. "Commander, what's the matter?" Yin Tianlong asked. "I have to leave for a while. I'll have to trouble everyone here," Night Sorrow said. "We know that you're going to cultivate." "Don't worry," Shui Wuling said. "I'm not going to cultivate. There's a problem in Clear Sky City. I have to deal with it, but it's hard to say what the specific situation is." Night Sorrow thought for a moment and didn't hide it from everyone. "Then you have to be careful. Your safety is a matter of concern," Bei Tiangu said. Tai Shu Yen was now in charge of some matters in the Sacred Hall, while the Deputy City Lord Bei Tiangu was in charge of the North Sea region's troops. "I'll be careful. Normal problems can't stop me now," Night Sorrow said. Yomorq everyone nodded. Night Sorrow was telling the truth. Other than a few veteran pinnacle saints, Night Sorrow is one of them. The 9 Regions Origin Energy communicated with Night Sorrow. "I'm not afraid of death. I'm only telling you this because the void fiendish space is not far from being completely refined. I can't let anything happen to me. However, since my enemy is here, I'll go in and kill him," Night Sorrow said. "Of the 2 people inside, one is Golden Growler. He was suppressed by Clear Sky City back then, and his soul escaped into a small space. His strength won't recover so quickly. The other person's body is still there, but he was attacked by Clear Sky Saint King and his soul was almost destroyed. It won't be easy for him to recover. They can't come out, so there aren't enough resources even after 10,000 years." The 9 Regions Origin Energy explained the situation to Night Sorrow in detail. "Okay, how can I go in?" Night Sorrow asked the 9 Regions Origin Energy. "Their space is unstable now. I'm suppressing it with all my strength. Because your clone and the Heaven Sealing Hall are one, the 9 Regions Origin Energy won't reject you when you enter, but others can't," the 9 Regions Origin Energy said to Night Sorrow. In other words, Night Sorrow couldn't bring anyone in. "The Spacetime Pagoda can't bring anyone in either?" Night Sorrow asked. "No, the 9 Regions Origin Energy can penetrate spatial treasures and attack regardless of friend or foe. Go in and take a look. If it doesn't work, come back. Then we'll think of another way. I'm worried that once they recover, they'll refine that small space. If they do, it'll be troublesome." The 9 Regions Origin Energy explained why they couldn't give Night Sorrow time to refine the void fiendish space. At this time, in a small space beneath Clear Sky City, the golden-robed Jianghu and the black-robed Bo Qing were talking. "Jianghu, it'll be difficult for us to break free from the 9 Regions Origin Energy suppression. You should try your best to adapt to your new body. I'll refine this small space. At that time, we'll be able to break free from the suppression and slaughter the 9 Regions Origin Energy before returning," said the black-robed Bo Qing. "Okay, relying on others to save us is too passive. If we keep delaying like this, our lifespan will be a problem." Jianghu nodded. "Then it's decided. We have to hurry. As we recover, the 9 Regions Origin Energy will become stronger," said Bo Qing. Under the guidance of the 9 Regions Origin Energy, Night Sorrow arrived at the bottom of Clear Sky Mountain. At the bottom of Clear Sky Mountain, Night Sorrow sensed a space. "It's stable now because they haven't attacked yet. Go in and take a look. Safety first." "You can't have any problems," said the 9 Regions Origin Energy as it stood within the 9 Regions Origin Energy's protective barrier. Night Sorrow nodded. He had to go in and take a look before making a decision. Who knew what the 2 experts from 10,000 years ago were at now? He wanted to read Myriad Tao Becomes a God for free. Chapter 900. Night Sorrow used the law of nothingness to protect himself. Then he used Spatial Ren to tear apart the barrier between the 9-domain world and that space and entered the space suppressed by Supreme Sky City. After entering this space, Night Sorrow instantly entered the space-time pagoda. Then he released his soul power to explore the surroundings. At this moment, Night Sorrow was no longer a hothead. He knew that if this space had been refined, the other party would know as soon as he entered. It was most important to stabilize himself first. If the situation turned bad, he would have to run. His safety was related to the refinement of the void fiendish space and the restoration of the 9-domain world. He had to be careful. After staying in the space-time pagoda for an hour without any movement, Night Sorrow understood that this space had not been refined. If it had been refined, the other party would have already rushed over. After thinking about it, Night Sorrow decided to enter the space turbulence to investigate. This way the other party would not find him easily. Safety was the most important thing right now. After tearing apart the space, Night Sorrow traveled through the space turbulence. His soul power went through the space barrier to explore. Now that Night Sorrow had the law of nothingness to protect himself and the law of space to cut forward, his speed was still very fast. After advancing for an hour, Night Sorrow felt exhausted. He circled around to find a safe area. Then he came out and entered the space-time pagoda to cultivate and recover. After recovering, Night Sorrow came out of the space and continued to explore. After exploring 3 times, Night Sorrow found a space barrier. This let him know that this space was not big. Its diameter was about 2,000 to 3,000 miles. At the foot of the mountain in the middle of this space, Jianghu, who was meditating, felt a little flustered. If it was any other time, he might have gone to talk to Bo Qing. However, Bo Qing was studying the space origin stone. He planned to refine the space origin stone and then refine the space. He could not be disturbed. Bo Qing, who was meditating on the mountain, also opened his eyes. He was also a little flustered. He did not understand why he felt this way. After taking 2 deep breaths, Bo Qing looked at the origin stone. His eyes were full of anger. If he was at his peak, it would be easy for him to refine a space origin. However, when he was suppressed by Haotian City, in order not to abandon his physical body, his soul was severely injured. Now only a part of it had recovered. As for Jianghu, his soul power was very strong, but his body was destroyed. He was now researching a new body. His new body was the body of the master of the space, but the compatibility was very low. It would take a long time to completely fuse with it, so the task of refining it fell to Bo Qing. Night Sorrow searched region by region in the chaotic space. On the 3rd day, Night Sorrow reached the central region and found Jianghu and Bo Qing. When his soul strength detected the wind origin stone in Bo Qing's hand, he understood that the 9 regions' origin body was right. The 2 of them were refining the space origin stone. At the same time, Night Sorrow saw their cultivation bases. Jianghu, who was sitting at the foot of the mountain, was a 7-star saint. However, his aura was very unstable. Night Sorrow knew that Jianghu's condition was not very good. As for Bo Qing, Night Sorrow could not see his cultivation base. However, his mental state was not good. His forehead was dark and did not have the spirit of an expert. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow knew that this was the state of a damaged soul. After retreating to a safe distance a few hundred miles away, Night Sorrow tore open space and entered the time-space treasure pagoda to recover. Night Sorrow wanted to maintain his peak condition. He knew that the 2 of them could not be measured by the cultivation bases of ordinary cultivators. Their cultivation bases were very high when they were at their peak. As for why their condition was so ordinary now, Night Sorrow knew that it was because of a lack of resources. Jianghu and Bo Qing were both important figures in the sky profound world. Their personal wealth was extremely high, but when they came to the 9-domain world, they came with a killing mission. What they brought were supplies and resources, but they did not bring any cultivation resources. This was the arrangement of the leaders of the heaven profound world. They were not willing to let the participants die in battle and leave the resources to others. This caused them to not be able to recover even after 10,000 years. The main reason was that the resources in this space were very scarce. They could only cultivate naturally. After recovering, Night Sorrow brewed a pot of tea and thought about how to deal with the situation. A head-on battle was definitely not going to work because he knew that the 2 of them were definitely stronger than their cultivation bases. Furthermore, there was only one chance to launch a sneak attack. If they were alerted, then the following actions would not be smooth. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow chose his target, which was to launch a sneak attack on Bo Qing. If it was a normal battle, he would naturally choose to attack the weaker Jianghu first. However, he was not here to kill but to change the situation. Bo Qing was refining the space source and was a factor that could change the situation. If he broke the plan to refine the space, then the two of them could only be suppressed in this space. After choosing his target and thinking about the plan, Night Sorrow decided to make his move. Shao Kong. Night Sorrow shouted. Don't be so loud. It's not like I can't hear you. Shao Kong stood beside Night Sorrow. In a moment I will tear open the space. Cooperate with me and use your strongest power to smash that guy. After that, I will attack with my full strength. The first thing I will do is to knock away the Source Stone in his hand. After that, you can keep the Source Stone. Night Sorrow said to Shao Kong. Okay. Shao Kong nodded at Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow put Shao Kong into his sleeves and tore open the space to enter the spatial turbulence. He then headed towards where Bo Qing was meditating. Very quickly, Night Sorrow arrived at where Bo Qing was meditating through the spatial turbulence. Shao Kong, are you ready? Night Sorrow held the reincarnation spear in his right hand and asked Shao Kong. Yes, I am ready. Pay attention to your safety. If you can't handle it, enter the space-time pagoda. Although they are very strong, they won't be able to break through the defense of the space-time pagoda in a short period of time. This will give you time to retreat. Shao Kong reminded Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded and took 2 deep breaths. Then his bloodline talent suddenly erupted. A spatial crack with the power of laws tore open the space and slashed towards Bo Qing. At the same time, he waved his left sleeve and a space-time pagoda that was as tall as the clouds smashed towards Bo Qing. At the same time, the reincarnation spear in Night Sorrow's right hand also stabbed towards Bo Qing. Bo Qing, who was meditating, didn't have time to react before the spatial crack slashed towards his chest. Stop. Bo Qing waved his right hand and stopped the spatial crack. His realm was high, so his power of laws was naturally strong. He directly suppressed the spatial crack. However, at this moment the space-time pagoda smashed down with the power of laws. Bo Qing let out a low roar. A long sword appeared in his right hand and he stabbed towards the space-time pagoda. The long sword was filled with the power of laws. At this moment, Night Sorrow used the power of laws of nothingness to execute the void extreme kill and stab towards Bo Qing's body. Bo Qing didn't have time to put away the origin stone. He held the origin stone with his left hand and pointed at Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear. He had the power of laws to protect his body, so he wasn't worried about Night Sorrow causing any harm to him. You can read the rest of the chapter. Chapter 901. Without any sound, Night Sorrow's void extreme kill directly destroyed half of Bo Qing's left hand. The origin stone was also sent flying. The origin stone contained elemental laws, so it was not so easy to destroy. In addition, Night Sorrow's void law had been partially offset by the law power in Bo Qing's left hand, so the origin stone was not damaged. At that moment, the spacetime pagoda released a whirlpool of energy that sucked the origin stone into the spacetime pagoda. Bo Qing waved the sword in his right hand to block the spacetime pagoda's descent. He retreated a bit. At that moment, Night Sorrow used spatial crack to tear open space and leave. Night Sorrow wanted to tear open space to escape, but how could Bo Qing be willing to let him? He immediately used law suppression again, instantly closing the spatial crack. This made Night Sorrow realize that entering chaotic space was not omnipotent. His opponent's control of law power was too skillful. If he couldn't enter chaotic space, then he wouldn't. Night Sorrow rolled up his sleeves and put away the spacetime pagoda. He switched his energy shield to a spatial energy shield and began to flee. Now that he had achieved his goal, Night Sorrow did not want to fight anymore. This person was too strong. His void extreme kill had only destroyed half of his hand. While Night Sorrow was running, Jianghu also arrived at the scene of the battle. Jianghu chased after him. The spatial origin stone is in his hands. Bo Qing's eyes were red. At his peak, he was not even afraid of a sage king. Now that he was being bullied by Night Sorrow, a 4-star sage, how could he not be angry? Damn it. Jianghu's body flashed as he began to chase after Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow's speed was too fast. Although his cultivation base was much lower than Jianghu and Bo Qing's, his control of the law of space was the fastest among all the elemental laws. Their speed was about the same as Night Sorrow's, but they could not surpass him. Bo Qing and Jianghu kept using their nomological suppression. However, Night Sorrow was not afraid. As long as the other party used their nomological suppression, he would use the law of nothingness to vibrate in all directions. This made Jianghu and Bo Qing's nomological suppression ineffective. How dare you steal from me? I'll skin you alive and make you beg for death. Bo Qing's rage soared to the heavens. Don't talk nonsense. Catch up to me first. Night Sorrow immediately used Spatial Rend as he charged forward. After using it, he charged into the turbulent flow of space. Night Sorrow wanted to smooth out the spatial rift, but Jianghu used an even stronger rule power to directly fix the spatial rift. He and Bo Qing also chased into the spatial turbulence. YX said. In the turbulent space, Night Sorrow's advantage was even greater. The space rule had a suppressive effect on the turbulent space. With the space protective chi shield, his speed was not affected at all. Gradually he pulled some distance between Jianghu and Bo Qing. Their realms were high, but the difference between their cultivations and their peak was too great. After pulling some distance, Night Sorrow used Spatial Rend again. After tearing through space, he returned to the wind-attributed space where Jianghu and Bo Qing were. He then waved his left hand to smooth out the spatial rift and quickly advanced. After Night Sorrow left the spatial rift closed. Bo Qing waved his sword to attack. After 5 attacks, he broke through the spatial barrier. However, Night Sorrow had pulled even further away from them. Jianghu and Bo Qing chased with all their might. Yi clan's remnants, this king will exterminate your entire clan. Jianghu roared. When he saw Night Sorrow use Spatial Rend, he knew Night Sorrow's identity. They were all from the profound heaven world, so they naturally knew the Yi clan's innate skills. Stinky mouth, just you wait. I will slowly take care of you. Hearing Jianghu's words, Night Sorrow had the urge to stop and fight. However, his rationality told him that it was more appropriate for him to leave now. Jianghu and Bo Qing chased closely from behind. This spatial source was too important to them. At this time, Night Sorrow used Spatial Rend again. His body rushed into the spatial rift and then he smoothed it out. Jianghu and Bo Qing's faces turned blue. This was because Night Sorrow's move was very sharp. It was difficult for them to break through space and it wasted a lot of time. This increased the distance between them and Night Sorrow. If they didn't tear through space, then Night Sorrow would have disappeared. And this was because Night Sorrow had just torn through space. Space was unstable, and if it was stable, it would be even harder for them to tear through it. After going back and forth a few times, Night Sorrow had completely pulled away from Jianghu and Bo Qing. He had reached a safe zone. However, Night Sorrow's innate bloodline power had been greatly exhausted. He had no choice but to use his full strength. He still had to tear through space to return to the 9-domain world. Only then would he be safe. Flying at full speed, Night Sorrow arrived at the region where Clear Sky City was suppressed. You two be careful. I'll be back. Night Sorrow shouted and used Spatial Rend. He cut through 2 spatial barriers and returned to the 9-domain world. When he passed through, Night Sorrow also smoothed out the spatial rift. Don't worry. They won't dare come out. If they do, the 9-domain origin barrier will exterminate them. 9-domain origin chi appeared beside Night Sorrow. They have the ability to break through spatial barriers. Will they break through space and enter the 9-domain world from other regions? Night Sorrow voiced his concern. You don't have to worry about that. Actually, when you tear through space and travel through spatial turbulence, the spatial turbulence is the lowest level. It's the turbulence within a spatial world. Even the spatial turbulence between worlds is stable because it's close to the world and space. If you're far away from the world and space, the spatial turbulence can easily annihilate a holy king. Clear Sky City has sealed this space. This space cannot be moved. It's surrounded by deep spatial turbulence. They can't come out. As long as they don't refine the space, they'll be fine. 9-domain origin chi communicated with Night Sorrow. Senior, you don't have to worry about that. When I went, they were refining the space origin stone. I snatched it and ran back. Night Sorrow took out the space origin stone and showed it to 9-domain origin chi. It's stable. If they can't refine the space, they'll be trapped inside, unable to come out, said 9-domain origin chi. My cultivation base is low right now. I really can't kill the 2 of them. Give me some time. Once my cultivation base increases, I'll go in and kill them, said Night Sorrow. There's no rush. You just need to steadily increase your cultivation base. Once the 9-domain world is complete, you can crush this small space as you wish, said 9-domain origin chi. Don't crush it. I'll find someone to refine this origin stone. My fiancé is of the wind attribute, said Night Sorrow. At the same time, he hung the ice silk pouch he had put away before the battle. All right. Don't worry about it here. I'll help you with this soul clone of yours. 9-domain origin chi waved his hand and sent a beam of light into the ice silk pouch. The ice silk pouch could isolate some energy, but 9-domain origin chi was so domineering that it directly pierced through. Night Sorrow cupped his hands at 9-domain origin chi. He understood that his soul clone had 9 domain origin chi. It would be of great help to its future growth and development. Next, the 9 realms origin energy body sent Yishang to Clear Sky City. Then Yishang entered the Supreme River space. Night Sorrow then began the teleportation. He was quite excited. Not only had he resolved a crisis, but he had also brought Aoi a great opportunity. A wind attribute origin stone, and a spatial origin stone at that. It was a rare opportunity. You can read the rest of the chapter. Chapter 902. When they reached the spatial tunnel connecting the Nether Realm and the Supreme River space, Night Sorrow investigated and found Sikong Chuyu, Yang Lei, and Aoi drinking tea with their parents in Yuqing's tent. Everyone noticed Night Sorrow's return and was very happy to see Night Sorrow. How did it go? Yuio asked. It went well, very well. I even gained a lot. 6th senior sister, I have a treasure for you. Night Sorrow took out a wind-attributed origin stone and handed it to Aoi. An origin stone, it's an origin stone. Yuqing looked at it and said in surprise. Yes, it's a wind-attributed spatial origin stone. Someone was refining it, so I snatched it away, Night Sorrow said with a smile. You're destroying their opportunity. Is that okay? Aoi looked at Night Sorrow and said. She didn't want Night Sorrow to have a stain on his name because of her. I want to kill people for breaking their fates, but I can't kill them. Yishang told them the whole story. Other than his parents and his fiancée, there was no one else in the tent that needed to be told. They actually called you a surviving member of the Yi clan. It seems they have a deep grudge with our Yi clan, Yi Wuyo said with a cold face. They're from the Heaven Profound World and have something to do with our Yi clan's grudge in the Heaven Profound World. However, the 2 of them will definitely die, Night Sorrow said. Don't be anxious. No one can go there and help you. Wait until you're stronger before going, Yi Wuyo said. He didn't want his son to take the risk. Father, don't worry. I understand, 6th senior sister. On the way back, I used the law of nothingness to wipe out the auras of the other people on this origin stone. Nourish it with your soul power every day. You can comprehend the law and refine it, Night Sorrow said to Aoi. Night Sorrow, didn't you say that the source stone can be used 3 times? Can you see which senior has the wind attribute? You can lend it to them first before giving it to me. I'm just at the 8th level of the Void Inquiry stage. I haven't entered the Venerated Realm yet. Aoi said. She wanted to help the Venerated Realm experts of the Medicine Valley. Someone has refined this origin stone before. Someone else tried to refine it a while ago, but they didn't succeed. In fact, you're the 3rd owner, so you can only use it once, Night Sorrow said. Many people needed origin stones, but he had to take care of his fiancée first. All right then. Aoi nodded at Night Sorrow. She was also very happy because having the origin stone in hand was equivalent to having a bright future. It's better to keep this a secret. Now, there are quite a lot of half-step saints and Venerated Realm experts. After all, everyone needs origin stones. Yuio said. So what if they need it? This is a treasure that my son obtained. If I don't give it to my daughter-in-law, am I supposed to give it to someone else? Yuqing said. Yuio lowered his head and drank his tea without saying a word. No matter what Yuqing said, he would always give in to her. It was not because he was afraid but because he did not want to make Yuqing angry. By the way, when are you guys going to hold your wedding? I'm still waiting to hold my grandchild. Yuqing looked at Night Sorrow, Sikong Chuyu, Yang Lei and Aoi. Let's wait first. When the matter here is over, I'll hold a lively wedding. Night Sorrow looked at Sikong Chuyu and the other 2 and said. Sikong Chuyu, Yang Lei and Aoi all nodded. However, the 3 of them also looked at each other because they did not know how to deal with Xueshi. Chuyu, your fire phoenix hasn't advanced, right? In a while, take it with you and follow me to the magma lake in the Void Fiend space to advance. Night Sorrow said. Although Sikong Chuyu's cultivation was at the Venerable Realm, it was also good to have a mount. Qing, we don't have anything to do. We're just going to pay a visit to Chuyu's parents. It's been so long and we haven't formally paid them a visit. This is not right, Yi Wuyo said. That's what we should do. In that case, let's make some preparations and go over. Yuqing nodded. She often joked with Yi Wuyo about small matters, but when it came to important matters she would never refute anything Yi Wuyo said. The relationship between husband and wife was a much-told story on Night Moon. After parting with his parents, Night Sorrow brought Sikong Chuyu, Yang Lei and Aoi. He called for Xueshi, who was cultivating in the tent, and set off for the Void Fiend space. During this period of time, everyone was very tired from cultivating. Night Sorrow also planned to bring everyone to relax. With the Spacetime Pagoda, it was very convenient for Night Sorrow to bring the few of them. As for Chanyu and Yi Mei, the two of them were still cultivating with the god-slaying team. When they arrived at the location of the Void Fiend space, Night Sorrow tore open space and entered. The Void Fiend space had been shrinking, but because of its connection with Night Sorrow, its position in the Medicine Valley region had not changed. It was shrinking and merging at this point. After entering the Void Fiend space, Night Sorrow first brought the few of them to the lava lake. Sikong Chuyu released the Fire Phoenix. The Fire Phoenix let out a cry and dived into the lava lake. It bathed in the lava lake's flames and absorbed enough fire attribute energy before flying to one side to advance. Night Sorrow greeted the few girls and went to catch a wild beast. When he came back, he roasted it. Everyone began to drink and chat. I think mother and father will mention our marriage when they see father-in-law and mother-in-law. I plan to wait. When the 9 regions world stabilizes, we will hold a decent and grand wedding. Night Sorrow expressed his opinion. Sure. When the time comes, bring Sister Xueshi along, Yang Lei said. After this period of time together, Sikong Chuyu, Yang Lei, and Alwei had all accepted Xueshi. Xueshi guided them in their cultivation like an elder sister and helped them improve their cultivation. The main point was that Xueshi had changed a lot. She had given up her past and lived a very relaxed and generous life. No need. I don't care about these things. It's good that everyone is together. This is very good, Xueshi said with a smile. Night Sorrow did not interrupt. He was also thinking in his heart about Xueshi's problem. Night Sorrow, how long will it take for your Void Fiend space to completely merge and refine? Yang Lei changed the topic. She knew that Night Sorrow and Xueshi had to solve Xueshi's problem by themselves. Who knows? I haven't refined it before. However, it's already shrunk by 1/3. It's not that it's shrunk, it's just that it's merged with the Void Fate Pearl. The internal area hasn't changed at all, Night Sorrow said. A small world in hand and a small world is our home. How domineering, Always said with a smile. Night Sorrow, as long as we refine this, most of the problems of our 9 regions world will be solved, right? Sikong Chiyu asked. More or less. The people of the profound sky world were able to descend and break through the spatial barrier because our 9 regions world was not fully developed before. Then our source shattered. If we merge with the Void Fiend space, we can develop towards a world with supreme laws. At that time, no world or space can casually invade us, Night Sorrow said. After solving the problem, we'll work hard in cultivation. You can also find a source stone for 9th senior sister. Then everyone can cultivate to the Saint Realm. That will be perfect, Sikong Chuyu said. It's not like that. The Saint Realm is not the end of a cultivator. Night Sorrow shook his head. In the blink of an eye, this book had been written for 5.5 months. 900 chapters in 5.5 months, close to 2 million words. Every day there would be 5 chapters. Sometimes there would be outbursts. Shizi was very proud. He was truly tired. He forced himself to persevere every day. He would not sleep until he finished writing 5 chapters. He was close to obsessive-compulsive disorder. Even his hair had turned white. The main reason was his perseverance and his emotions. Shizi was grateful. He was grateful to all the brothers and sisters who had always supported him. You liked this book and chose to support Shizi. No matter who I disappointed, I will not disappoint you. Shizi bowed and thanked everyone. I remember each and every one of you. I have a grateful heart. You can read the rest of the book. Chapter 903. Then, Night Sorrow talked about the levels of the Saint King Realm and the King Realm. There's really no limit to cultivation, Sikong Chuyu said with some emotion. The Saint King Realm has a lifespan of 10,000 years and is a true eternal giant. The rank 8 King Realm is also the Undying Realm. If there is no opponent to kill, there is no limit to their lifespan, Night Sorrow said with a smile. You mean that we are going to advance to the Undying Realm? Yang Lei said with a smile. But aptitude is a problem. My aptitude is limited. As I cultivate, my lifespan may reach its limit, Always said. Others worry about their lifespan and aptitude, but 6th senior sister, you will never have to worry because the lifespan of the Space Master and the World Master is synchronized with the space in the world. As long as the space and the world do not collapse, the Master will not die, Night Sorrow said. Then congratulations, 6th senior sister, Sikong Chuyu said with a smile. That space origin is too precious, Always said after being stunned for a moment. I told you that 13th junior brother loves you the most, 6th senior sister, Yang Lei also said. The wind attribute is of the same origin as Sixth Senior Sister, so this is Sixth Senior Sister's opportunity, Night Sorrow said. Everyone drank and chatted. Fire Phoenix had also completed her advancement and entered the rank 5 realm. In addition, there are all kinds of resources and opportunities in the great wide world. There are resources that can change one's body, soul, and aptitude. I believe that our future will be very good, Night Sorrow said. While they were talking, Night Sorrow's clone communicated with the 9 regions' origin energy, asking where he could comprehend the lightning attribute laws. He wanted to make plans for Yang Lei's future. The 9 regions' origin energy told Night Sorrow that the origin of the Qingtian region was the lightning attribute origin. He could give the lightning attribute origin to Night Sorrow. After receiving this news, Night Sorrow was so happy that he waved his arm. Yang Lei and the others were stunned. They had never seen Night Sorrow lose his composure like this before. Then Night Sorrow said that he had solved Yang Lei's problem. That's too overbearing. Both Chuyu and Sixth Senior Sister have source stones. Sister Shueshi is a high-level saint. Mother also has source stones. Father is a saint. Night Sorrow, you really have nothing to worry about, Yang Lei said happily. Sigh, my only regret is that Father Gu can only provide us with resources. It's all up to us. Night Sorrow sighed. Sikong Chuyu and the others nodded. This was something that couldn't be helped. Papa Gu was old and his foundation wasn't good. It would be very difficult for him to become a saint. Night Sorrow, you don't have to worry. Work hard to help Papa Gu reach the 5th rank. A 5th rank cultivator has a lifespan of a few hundred years. Who knows what will happen in a few hundred years? Always said. Night Sorrow nodded. He hoped that Papa Gu could always be by his side and live well. After staying in the void fiendish space for 2 days, Night Sorrow and the others went to Bamboo Garden City to walk around. Night Sorrow missed that place because he had lived there for several decades. After walking around, they returned to the spatial tunnel. Night Sorrow asked Shao Kong if he could open it and let more people in. Night Sorrow wanted to give the members of the God-slaying squad more opportunities. Sure. It's just that you need spirit stones. You don't lack spirit stones right now, said Shao Kong. Night Sorrow then had Sikong Chuyu, Yang Lei, and Aoi enter the 61st floor of the Spacetime Pagoda. He had Tianyu Yi Mei and the members of the God-slaying squad enter the 61st floor. After moving Shueshi to the 70th floor, Night Sorrow entered seclusion on the 76th floor. This was Shao Kong's suggestion to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow was now a 4-star saint. Adding on his powerful body, he wouldn't have any problems enduring 6 times the time acceleration. Everything in the 9 regions world was going smoothly. Because Night Sorrow wanted to cultivate, he didn't go to the netherworld to cause trouble. The netherworld had stabilized. Although it was stable for now, the 9 underworld monarch was still worried. If she didn't solve the problem of the spatial tunnel, the netherworld could be attacked at any moment. But she couldn't solve the formation. And look at DF. Unable to solve this problem, she left behind an avatar while her main body went to the most dangerous part of the netherworld realm, the netherworld abyss, to cultivate in seclusion. She wanted to break through to the Saint King realm, but since she couldn't win in a battle of wits, she had to seek a breakthrough in her strength. In the space below Clear Sky City, Jianghu and Bo Qing both had very ugly expressions. Damn it! How could we let the remnants of the Yi clan sneak in? Now that the origin of space has been snatched away, it will be very difficult for us to get out. Jianghu smashed an ancient tree with a punch and roared angrily. Brother Jianghu, this is my negligence. I didn't expect to be ambushed, Bo Qing said. This is not your fault. The remnant of the Yi clan has a spatial technique and can travel back and forth through space. If we are not prepared, it will be very difficult to defend against it. Now, it will be very difficult for us to leave and he can come in at any time. Jianghu explained the predicament that the two of them were facing. If we don't refine this space, we will have to recover our cultivation before we can leave. There are no resources in this space, so recovering our cultivation will be as difficult as ascending to the heavens. We can't withstand the tyrannical turbulence outside. Bo Qing's face was ashen. Also, how did Yuan Qiu's space-time treasure pagoda appear in the hands of the remnant of the Yi clan? Could it be that Yuan Qiu, who attacked Void Dao City 10,000 years ago, died? Jianghu frowned. There was another explanation for the space-time treasure pagoda appearing in the Central State Prefecture. I'm not sure, but that treasure appeared in the hands of the cultivators of the 9 regions world. Yuan Qiu is most likely dead. Right now, the two of us can only think of ways to protect ourselves. If we can't escape, we have to wait for help. The harvest of the 9 regions world once every 10,000 years is not far away. If the 9 regions world is destroyed again, the seal and suppression of this space by the 9 regions world origin will loosen. At that time it will be our chance to escape. Bo Qing spoke his thoughts. Right now that's the only thing we can do. The order to not let us bring in resources is really harmful. Otherwise, the two of us would have long since recovered. We would have been able to destroy the 9 regions world several times over, said Jianghu hatefully. Don't question the decision of the higher-ups. There's no benefit in that. Let's cultivate together. The two of us can't be too far apart. Who knows when that bastard will sneak attack us, said Bo Qing. I'm just afraid he won't come. If he does, we can't give him a chance to escape. If we can take back the origin stone, our chance will come again, said Jianghu. Bo Qing nodded. Right now the two of them were helpless. Without resources they couldn't increase their cultivation bases. They could only wait for an opportunity. Within the space-time treasure pagoda, there was enough energy to allow Night Sorrow's cultivation base to rapidly increase. After entering seclusion for a while, he would enter the chaotic streams of space to stabilize his cultivation base. He even used the ancient netherworld tree's energy to corrode and temper his cultivation base. That allowed his cultivation base to rapidly increase without any drawbacks. Half a year had passed in the real world. Night Sorrow's cultivation base had entered the 5-star Saint realm. The myriad Tao treasured tome had also entered the 5-star Golden Body realm. 1.5 years had passed in the real world. Night Sorrow's cultivation base had reached the 6-star Saint realm. He had cultivated in the Spacetime Treasure Pagoda for 9 years. You can read the rest of the chapter. Chapter 904. Not only did he raise his Qi cultivation to a 6-star saint, but Night Sorrow also raised his myriad Tao Tome cultivation to a 6-star golden body. Night Sorrow was still fine when facing saints, but when facing those below the saint level, he had to use the law of time in his body to suppress his Qi and blood energy. This was because the Qi and blood energy combined with the light of virtue were unbearable for ordinary people. Those who were not affected were those close to Night Sorrow. They were related by blood, and his fiancée and the others were already stained with Night Sorrow's Qi and virtue. 2 years in the real world was neither long nor short. Tianyu became a high-level saint, and Yi Mei became a saint. Xikong Chuyu and Yang Lei were already level 5 saints. Aoi had reached level 2 because her realm was high enough, and she had the help of the Origin Stone. Furthermore, there was enough energy in the pagoda of time and space. Night Sorrow had a rare moment of relaxation when drinking tea and chatting with his parents. Yu Qing was already a peak saint, and she was on her way to becoming a saint. Yi Wuyo was also a peak 2-star saint, and he was on his way to becoming a 3-star saint because Night Sorrow had provided him with a lot of resources. Night Sorrow, don't work too hard. Your cultivation is improving fast enough. You can already deal with some problems. Yi Wuyo looked at his son and said. Even he thought that the CP was a fake ZJ. Thank you, father. I'm doing well. Night Sorrow nodded. Although the child hasn't held a wedding, he can have a child. No one will laugh at this. Our Night Moon also needs a 3rd-generation successor. Yu Qing said. In the past, Yi Linghuan was the leader of the Night Moon dynasty, and Night Sorrow was the 3rd-generation young master. A year ago, Yi Linghuan passed the position of leader of the Night Moon dynasty to Yi Wuyo. Night Sorrow was the 2nd-generation successor. Okay, I got it, Night Sorrow said. At this point, Night Sorrow was also a little puzzled. In the past year or so, he and the women had already let nature take its course, but they still didn't have children. After chatting with his parents for a while, Night Sorrow went to see Wu Lingfei. No matter when he came out of the Spacetime Treasure Pagoda, he would go see Wu Lingfei and have a cup of tea with her. Night Sorrow, you're trying to become a high-level saint, Wu Lingfei said. I still need time, but my soul doppelganger is not far from completion. Once I become a 7-star saint and my soul doppelganger is completed, I will go to Clear Sky City and kill those two, Night Sorrow said. Wu Lingfei smiled and said, take it slow. They're being suppressed. They can't run away. Night Sorrow nodded. He was not in a hurry because there was nothing that could threaten the safety of the 9-domain world. Let's go see the children in the Holy Hall, Wu Lingfei asked Night Sorrow. Alright, I haven't been there in a while. Let's go see Nianxiao. Auntie Fei, let's go together. Night Sorrow smiled. A year ago, Yi Nianxiao had begged Night Sorrow to go to the Holy Hall to cultivate, and Night Sorrow had sent her there. Night Sorrow would definitely satisfy his little sister's request. Although it was a bit of a conflict with the Holy Hall's rules of not accepting people, if his little sister wanted to go, he would give her the resources. Wu Lingfei also wanted to go, so she went with Night Sorrow to the Holy Hall. When they arrived at the Sacred Hall, Yishang greeted the children and waved his reincarnation spear in front of the formation, teaching the children how to use the spear. This was what Yishang would do every time he came. The commander is very calm right now, but when it comes to the children he's completely different, said Jun Xuanji. When you reach the Saint Realm you're all too lazy. It's rare for a 4-star saint to get along so well with the children, said Tai Shu Yen. Wu Lingfei usually didn't even speak much, let alone move. That's old history. A year ago Night Sorrow was a 5-star saint. Now he's a 6-star saint, said Wu Lingfei. 6-star saint? What's going on? It wasn't just Tai Shu Yen but even Jun Xuanji was stunned. They couldn't see through Night Sorrow's cultivation base. Jun Xuanji was only an initial saint. He's working hard, said Wu Lingfei. We're also working hard, said Jun Xuanji. He's Night Sorrow. You're not. Wu Lingfei didn't speak much, but every word she said hit the nail on the head. Tai Shu Yen and Jun Xuanji didn't say anything. There was only one Night Sorrow in the two worlds. There was only one commander called Night Sorrow. After finishing their cultivation, Yin Yanxiao, Ning Yun, and Chiyue went to Night Sorrow's place. Yanxiao, if you have nothing to do, go spend more time with father and mother. You can bring your little friends with you, said Night Sorrow. Got it? Yin Yanxiao nodded. Ning Yun, are you used to it? Asked Night Sorrow. I'm used to it. Aunt often hits me and says I'm not working hard enough. Uncle, I'm really working hard, said Ning Yun. Yin Yanxiao was about the same age as everyone else, but her foundation was solid. She was already at the late core condensation stage and was the leader of the children. It's fine to be hit by a girl, you know. We're men, so we have to be magnanimous. We can't lower ourselves to the same level as a girl. Yanxiao, you should behave yourself. If you don't behave yourself, Big Brother will send you back, said Night Sorrow. He then glared at Yin Yanxiao. Following this, Night Sorrow had the three of them go back to rest. If Yanxiao is disobedient, Martial Uncle will send her back. Don't cause trouble here, said Night Sorrow. What do you mean disobedient? She's only like this because she has a good relationship with Ning Yun and Chiyue. She's usually very obedient, Jun Xuanji explained for Yin Yanxiao without waiting for Tai Shu Yen to speak. After staying in the Sacred Hall for 2 days, Night Sorrow left. After entering the passage between the Medicine Valley and Supreme River Space, Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei separated. He wanted to go to Clear Sky City to take a look at the situation and also to get the Qingtian domain's origin source. Some time ago, the 9 regions' origin source had communicated with Night Sorrow's clone. He could go get the lightning-attributed Qingtian domain's origin source at any time. Sitting on the transmission array, Night Sorrow arrived at the spatial storm area where Clear Sky City was located. The spatial storm was already very weak and didn't have much power. Night Sorrow directly entered Clear Sky City from Clear Sky Mountain and arrived at the Heaven Sealing Hall. When Night Sorrow arrived, the 9 regions' origin source also appeared in front of Night Sorrow. Your cultivation is getting deeper and deeper, and your light of virtue is also getting stronger and stronger, the 9 regions' origin source evaluated while looking at Night Sorrow. Cultivation is obtained through hard work, but I still don't know what the light of virtue is, said Night Sorrow. Because you've done a lot for the 9 domains world and now that everyone is living a good life, they're deeply grateful to you. Naturally you'll be blessed with good karma. This is lightning essence. Take it well. Another 3 years have passed, and the Heaven Sealing Hall can be opened again. Because our 9 domains world was the winner of the last 2 world wars, my original body situation has improved. This time you can bring 10 people with you, the 9 domains essence said to Night Sorrow. Okay, I'll bring some people over at 1 o'clock in the evening. In fact, Night Sorrow was also thinking about this. With the approval of the 9 regions origin source, his cultivation would be twice the result with half the effort. And you? You can also recertify your saint title, the 9 regions origin source said to Night Sorrow. He wanted to read Becoming a God with All Tao for free. Chapter 905. Night Sorrow chatted with the 9 region origin energy for a while, then left. He was going to bring the people he had promised to get their titles certified. With the teleportation circle, Night Sorrow quickly arrived at the Nether Realm spatial tunnel. Night Sorrow called Sky Underworld Saint and the others over. He told them that they could bring people to get their titles certified. He wanted to leave 3 spots for his 3 fiancées. 7 spots. You promised vice-great-uncle, so you must have them. You make the arrangements. I'll go get them. Sky Underworld Saint said. Only Night Sorrow could bring everyone into the Heaven Sealing Palace, so the others couldn't make the decision. Sky Underworld Saint could only call everyone over. After resting for a while, Yi Shang went to the command tent. By now, almost everyone who should be here had arrived. Actually, there's no need to rush. 10 spots in 3 years. That's not a small number. Also, don't go if your fighting strength doesn't exceed your cultivation. Without the strength to fight above your level, it'll be very difficult to pass the certification. Night Sorrow said. The God-slaying team also had a few sovereigns, but Night Sorrow didn't want to bring them. The God-slaying team was strong in group battles, but their individual fighting strength wasn't that great. Everyone looked at Night Sorrow's arrangement and didn't have any objections. Then I'll tell you what I think. Besides my great-uncles, Vice Commander Yin Tianlong should also have a spot. In addition to Heavenly Underworld Saint, True Ocean Saint, Southern Heaven Saint and Black Dragon Saint, that's 6 people. Including Venerable Wu Hen, that's 7, Yi Shang said. Everyone nodded. Night Sorrow's arrangement was very reasonable. Unfortunately, something happened to Senior Flying Tiger Saint. I can't bring him this time. Night Sorrow sighed. Flying Tiger Saint was still recovering. There will be spots in 3 years. When he recovers, we'll reserve a spot for him. It's nothing. He's been without a title for so many years. He just needs a few more years to recover. Commander, don't worry about it. Sky Underworld Saint said. Following which, Night Sorrow comforted Lu Qin, Hu Shao, Qing Mang and the others. After all, the quota was limited. We are not in a hurry. When the 9 Zones world is completed, there will be no such restriction, Hu Shao said with a smile. Yes, I still need time. Night Sorrow nodded. While everyone was making preparations, Night Sorrow went to the resting area of the God-slaying team and explained the situation. It wasn't that he didn't want to give his brothers, who had just entered the Martial Saint realm, a chance. It was just that everyone was lacking, and it would be a waste of an opportunity if they went. The members of the God-slaying team all understood that even Ling Long had failed, so they had no chance at all. Then Night Sorrow went to the Spacetime Pagoda next to him and entered it. He told Sikong Chuyu and the other 2 who were cultivating about the titled Battle Pet Warrior examination. Night Sorrow, I've strengthened my combat abilities, but will I be able to pass? I was a bit worried. Didn't Xueshi teach you a movement technique? It won't be a problem, Night Sorrow said. For the past few years, Night Sorrow had been strengthening the girls' combat abilities. The results were very obvious. The 3 of them all had ultimate attributes and ultimate bodies. Night Sorrow was very confident that the 3 of them could pass the titled Battle Pet Warrior examination. Then Night Sorrow gave the Qingtian Domain's Thunder Origin to Yang Lei. Thank you, 13th Junior Brother. Yang Lei pulled Night Sorrow and kissed Night Sorrow on the cheek. Hurry up and comprehend it. When the 9 Zones world is completed, the Origin will become 1. At that time the Origin will leave, Night Sorrow said to Yang Lei. It seems that time is tight. After going to the Heaven Sealing Palace for the titled Battle Pet Warrior examination, I will work hard to cultivate. I don't want to waste my efforts, Yang Lei said. That won't happen. Even if the 9 Zones world's Origin combine, it will still leave you with the Origin. You won't waste your efforts, Night Sorrow said with a smile. After resting for a while, Night Sorrow led the group and set off. Yi Shang led a group of people to the Heaven Sealing Great Hall. The doors to the Heaven Sealing Great Hall opened and the group of people entered one after another. 13 I'm a bit nervous, Always said to Night Sorrow. It's okay. It's best if you can get a title. If not, you won't lose anything. Don't pack too much. Night Sorrow hugged Aoi. Then he hugged Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu. The group went to take the examination. Night Sorrow communicated with the 9 Zones world's Origin. In recent years, the 9 Zones world has been developing fast. These people are good. If the 9 Zones world can't be repaired before the once in 10,000 years massacre, then take them to the Grotto Heaven and hide them. Or put them in my 9 Zones defense shield. High-level life forms are the foundation of a world. We can't lose them, the 9 Zones world's Origin said. 2/3 of the void space's fusion has been completed, but it's slowed down a bit. Also, is the space below stable? Night Sorrow asked. He was asking about the space where Jianghu and Bo Qing were. It's very stable. If they can't refine the space origin, it's useless no matter how hard they try, the 9 Zones world's Origin said. When I become a high-level saint and this soul clone of mine is completed, I'll go in and kill them to prevent future troubles, Night Sorrow said. The Nine Zones World's Origin nodded. It wanted to completely solve its problems. Night Sorrow asked why he didn't have children. He wanted to know if it was because of the existence of the Heaven-Sealing Great Hall's clone. It's not because your body's cultivation is too strong, so the problem of having children is also a matter of luck. Also, with your original body, the clone in the Heaven-Sealing Great Hall won't have children because this is the Heavenly Tao. If you don't respect the Heavenly Tao, it's a loss of morality. You have to be careful and don't mess around, the Nine Zones World's Origin said to Night Sorrow. I understand. This strong body is also a disadvantage now, Night Sorrow said helplessly. There is a disadvantage, but there are also great benefits. After your children are born, their talent and bloodline will be far superior to ordinary people. Their starting point will be different from others, the Nine Zones World's Origin explained to Night Sorrow. As they chatted, Night Sorrow also learned that the existence of clones was for combat and communication. There was a difference between clones and the original body. They were accessories. If they overpowered the main body, the Heavenly Tao would choose to destroy them. It would either destroy the original body or the clone. Night Sorrow nodded. He understood that such a rule of the Heavenly Tao was right. If a woman's original body and clone belonged to different men, it would be a mess. After communicating with the Nine Zones World's Origin energy, Night Sorrow also learned about some taboo rules that could not be trampled on casually. You should also go and get your title verified. They will wait for you here after the assessment, the Nine Zones World's Origin energy said to Night Sorrow. Alright, I'll go then, Night Sorrow said as he lifted the holster on his back. Also, there's still some time before your clone reaches completion. You can leave your auxiliary weapons here and let the Origin energy nourish them, the Nine Zones World's Origin energy said to Night Sorrow. Download Becoming a God with All Tao, for free. Chapter 906. Night Sorrow stopped and thought for a moment. Then can you help me nourish this reincarnation spear? This sovereign's weapon is the most important. Sure, we'll talk about it when you come back from the examination. The Nine Regions Origin body nodded. Nodding his head, Yi Shan entered the Heaven-Sealing Great Hall to undergo the Saint conferment process. He was very surprised at how tolerant the Nine Regions Origin energy was of him. Normally, the Nine Regions Origin energy would agree with any question he asked. Actually, Night Sorrow didn't know that he had already been recognized by the Nine Regions Origin body. If this continued, even if he couldn't complete the Nine Regions world, even if he couldn't become the ruler of the Nine Regions world, he would still become the virtuous great sage in Yi Wuyo's sky. Furthermore, Yi Shang was currently refining the void fiendish space to complete the Nine-Domain world. The Nine-Domain Origin energy body was aware of this, so Yi Shang's opinion had a lot of weight in the Nine-Domain Origin energy body. Most importantly, the Nine Regions Origin body was almost certain that Night Sorrow would become the ruler of the Nine Regions world in the future. With the supreme law of nothingness and the two advanced laws of time and space, as well as his tyrannical soul power, Night Sorrow didn't have any difficulty passing the Saint title examination. The moment Night Sorrow passed the examination, two ancient runes flashing with golden light appeared in the sky above the Heaven-Sealing Hall. What's going on? Even our titles aren't that big, True Ocean Saint said. This is the commander's title promotion. He's maintained the top taboo title, Heavenly Underworld Saint said. At this moment, golden light appeared all over the Nine Regions world. This wasn't because the Nine Regions Origin thought highly of Night Sorrow, but because it was a special situation after a top taboo title appeared. At this moment, the doors to the Heaven-Sealing Hall opened and Night Sorrow walked out in a white robe. The two ancient runes in the sky flashed twice and entered Night Sorrow's body. Then the golden light in the sky disappeared. How is everyone? Night Sorrow looked at Sikong Chuyu and the other two. Sikong Chuyu, Yang Lei and Aoi nodded at Night Sorrow. I failed. Nanchen Shing sighed. That's because I failed. It's not a big deal. You can come again in 20 years, Night Sorrow persuaded. Among the 10 people who came, Nanchen Shing's cultivation was at the top. However, the title test was for people of the same cultivation level. The higher the cultivation level, the harder the test. Without the strength of someone of the same cultivation level, it would be very difficult to pass. Not only did Southern Heaven Saint fail, Black Dragon Saint also failed. Out of 10 people, 2 of them failed. This result was something that Night Sorrow could accept. After using the Spacetime Pagoda to bring everyone through the spatial storm and send them to the teleportation array, Night Sorrow returned to the Heaven-Sealing Grand Hall. He still had matters to attend to. When there was an outsider, the Nine Realms origin energy would not appear unless it was someone the Nine Realms origin energy body approved of. Then, Night Sorrow communicated with the Nine Regions origin energy. The weapon needed 1 year to nurture. At the same time, the Nine Territories origin energy clone also told Yishan that because the clone in the Heaven-Sealing Great Hall had nurtured a Monarch-grade spear, the divine weapon Chi in the Nine Territories origin energy could only nurture another Monarch-grade weapon. Night Sorrow took the reincarnation spear from his back and handed it to the Nine Regions origin energy. The Nine Regions origin energy waved his hand and threw the reincarnation spear into the Heaven-Sealing Grand Hall. Also, if you are not in a hurry to fight, you can nurture the other spear on your back. Even if it can't become a king-class weapon, it can still be nurtured to the level of a high-grade sacred weapon. You can come and take it whenever you need it, the Nine Regions origin energy said to Night Sorrow. I won't be fighting for a while. I will cultivate for a while more. Besides, it's not like I can't fight without a spear. Night Sorrow left the space-splitting spear with the Nine Regions origin energy. Then his clone appeared. Night Sorrow left a storage ring for the clone before leaving. Night Sorrow was not used to the fact that his back was empty without a weapon. It was as if he was missing something. The space-splitting spear was still okay. However, the reincarnation spear had been with Night Sorrow for too long. It could be said that ever since Night Sorrow knew how to fight and since he started hunting, the reincarnation spear had never left his side. After returning to the spatial passageway in the Netherworld realm, Night Sorrow was also restless. This made the Sikong Chuyu Yang Lei and Aoi, who had been successfully titled, very puzzled. Just as Yang Lei was about to ask the reason, Sikong Chuyu noticed the situation. Night Sorrow, your spear. Yes. Without the spear I feel like I'm missing something. It's as if I'm missing something very important in my life, Night Sorrow said. What about your spear? What about your 2 spears? Yang Lei asked. They knew that Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear was a sacred artifact and the space-splitting spear was a quasi-sacred artifact. I stayed in the Heaven-Sealing Great Hall and let the Nine Regions origin energy nourish me. However, this will take a year, Night Sorrow said. This is a good thing. It can improve the quality of some weapons, Aoi said. Let's not talk about the space-splitting spear. It can be upgraded to a high-grade sacred artifact. The most important thing is that the reincarnation spear can surpass the sacred monarch tier and directly become a king tier weapon. It can accompany me for a very long time or even for a lifetime, Night Sorrow said. A king tier weapon is a weapon that belongs to the king tier. Your reincarnation spear can actually be upgraded to a king tier weapon. It's only been a year. This is too worth it, Sikong Chuyu said excitedly. She was happy for Night Sorrow. But you don't understand. Without the reincarnation spear by my side, I feel uncomfortable, Night Sorrow said. The space-splitting spear had only been with Night Sorrow for a short period of time. There was a degree of compatibility, but in terms of feelings, it could not be compared to the reincarnation spear. Bear with it for a year. Just cultivate for a year, Aoi said as she brewed a pot of tea. Night Sorrow nodded. There was nothing he could do about it. After drinking the tea, Night Sorrow went to chop down a tree. Then he made a wooden spear according to the size of the reincarnation spear. He was not used to not having a spear in his hand. In addition, with the protection of the power of law, even the wooden spear in Night Sorrow's hands was not much different from a divine weapon. Then Night Sorrow brought his 3 fiancées and Xueshi to the god-slaying team's encampment. He asked Tianyu to get a wild beast and then had a drink. Only then did he put the people who should enter the Spacetime Pagoda into the Spacetime Pagoda. Then he began to cultivate. Night Sorrow did not cultivate with the others now. After entering the 6-star Saint Realm, he cultivated on the 78th floor of the Spacetime Pagoda. The 78th floor of the Spacetime Pagoda had an 8-fold time acceleration. As Night Sorrow's cultivation increased, the Spacetime Pagoda's auxiliary power became stronger. In addition to the improvement of his basic cultivation, Night Sorrow cultivated his spear technique. Although it was a wooden spear, it did not affect the improvement of his spear techniques in 10th realm. When his cultivation increased too quickly, Night Sorrow would enter the spatial turbulence and even use the energy emitted by the Netherworld Ancient Tree to corrode his vital chi and the myriad Tao Tomes energy to hone his cultivation. In the 6 months in the real world, Night Sorrow cultivated for 4 years and successfully increased his cultivation to the 7-star Saint Realm, which was the high-level Saint Realm. The myriad Tao Tome also reached the 7-star Golden Body Realm. In the middle, there was not enough blood essence of the 4-clawed silver dragon, so Xueshi helped Night Sorrow get it again. Only then was Night Sorrow able to continue cultivating. Please give me some devil fruits. Our second place is not very stable. Please give me some help. Of course, if you tip me 200 yuan and need to update, Shizi will also add Myriad Dao Ascension to read for free. Chapter 907. After reaching the 7-star Saint realm, Night Sorrow dared to fight a peak saint. If he had a weapon, Night Sorrow would even go to the Nether realm to fight. Seeing Night Sorrow's cultivation soar, Sky Underworld Saint Shang Luo and the others who were guarding the spatial passage were shocked. They wanted to persuade Night Sorrow to be more stable, but Night Sorrow's cultivation was very solid. Long Xianxing and Xian Wenxiu were guarding the sacred hall. Sometimes they would come to the spatial passage to take a look. After drinking tea with his parents and Wu Lingfei, Night Sorrow went to the Heaven Sealing Hall to take back the Space Render Spear. The Space Render Spear was already a high-grade saint artifact. In the 9 regions world, it was the only high-grade saint artifact in the weapon type. After taking back the Space Render Spear, Night Sorrow felt a bit more at ease. After all, when fighting he would not be like a beggar without a staff. Carrying the Space Render Spear, Night Sorrow went to the Sacred Hall and accompanied the children. In the end, under Yi Nianxiao's suggestion, Night Sorrow brought the 2,000 children to 2 nearby restaurants in Dongshan City to eat and drink with the children. The owners of the restaurants did not charge any fees. Since Night Sorrow treated the children of the Sacred Hall as treasures, the people of Dongshan City also treated them as treasures. It could be said that as long as the children wore the clothes of the Sacred Hall, no shop in Dongshan City would charge them anything. Y0 Everyone knew Night Sorrow's goal in establishing the Sacred Hall. Everyone was willing to offer their love and help Night Sorrow fulfill his wish. In other words, the people of Dongshan City were willing to raise the children of the Sacred Hall. This kind of scene was what Night Sorrow wanted to see. This was the human heart. When there was a simple human heart, society would be harmonious. After bringing everyone back to the Sacred Hall, Night Sorrow called out to the children, "Are you happy?" The children responded to Night Sorrow's call. "Back then, Uncle did something wrong and caused you to lose a lot. That was Uncle's fault. But now, everyone loves you and cares for you. Everyone has true feelings for you. Now that you've grown up, what you need to do is to protect this true feeling," Night Sorrow said. "Uncle, we've grown up and know a lot. We understand your position back then. It's not that you're in the wrong. When we grow up, we want to be uncles. If that's the case, we'll brandish the Void Splitter Spear and fight the 7 Fiends King in front of the city." Only after the battle did 7 Fiends King realize how big the gap was between the reality and his perception was, and how unreliable his information was. Not only was he unable to suppress Night Sorrow with his peak saint cultivation base, but he was also forced back by Night Sorrow's ferocious attacks. If it weren't for the fact that his Zhenqi cultivation base was higher than Night Sorrow's, he might have been killed on the spot. "Are you going to kill me with this level of strength?" Night Sorrow snorted coldly after probing for a bit. He realized that 7 Fiends King's combat strength was also average. Night Sorrow no longer planned to test the waters. He used a spatial energy shield and poured his bloodline energy into the Void Splitter Spear. Suppressing the laws of nothingness, he began to violently attack 7 Fiends King. Night Sorrow didn't use his void energy because the Void Splitter Spear was a spatial energy. If he poured the laws of nothingness into it, there might be some conflicts. Night Sorrow's 6th bloodline energy was already saturated, and his spatial energy was also very dense. It was enough to suppress 7 Fiends King. After a few rounds, 7 Fiends King's chest was pierced by the spear light. "Stop him!" 7 Fiends King shouted at the Shuetu Death Warriors. Recently, some fans of the book felt that their cultivation base had increased quickly. It was mainly because of the plot. Not every time there would be a story. Some cultivators could cultivate quietly for 100 years. Sometimes they needed a transition period. This book was currently in a transition period. You can read the rest of the book. Chapter 908. The Blood Map Death Guards had been trained by Nether King 9 but he had ordered them to listen to 7 Fiend King's orders. Hearing 7 Fiend King's order, the Blood Map Death Guards went to block Night Sorrow. How could the Shuetu Death Warriors, who were peak Venerable Ones, stop Night Sorrow? They were killed by Night Sorrow with almost every spear strike. Self-detonate. 7 Fiend King ordered as he retreated. He knew that if he didn't think of a way to stop Night Sorrow, he would die. After receiving the order to self-detonate, The blood-chart Death Sworn unhesitatingly blocked Yishan's path and self-detonated. Night Sorrow's protective barrier was cut off, allowing him to avoid the blood-map Death Guard's self-detonations. But by the time they were done, Seven Fiend King had already run away. Yishang smiled and continued with his plan to destroy the city. As his cultivation and mental state had improved, Yishang no longer set fire to the city. He was sure to win the war, so there was no need for unnecessary killing. Night Sorrow was still destroying the cities. Seven Fiend King returned to the spatial channel and told Nether King 9 and the 8 Hell Kings about this. "You're not his match." Nether King 9 stood up. "Yes, the difference is not small. His spatial laws are extremely sharp. If it weren't for the blood map Death Guards, this king would have been killed," said Seven Fiend King. "Are you sure it's that young man and not some other saint in disguise?" asked Nether King 9. "I'm sure. He's a 7-star saint, but his body is incomparably powerful. He's also powerful and gives off pressure." Seven Fiend King was a bit afraid of Night Sorrow from the bottom of his heart. "Then let's go kill him together." Nether King 9 stood up and called for the 8 Hell Kings. She knew how important Night Sorrow was to the 9 regions world. But after Night Sorrow destroyed 2 more cities, he flew toward the transportation formation. His goal was to make the netherworld restless, and he had already achieved his goal. He had also looted quite a bit of resources, so he was very satisfied. In addition, the reincarnation spear had not been fully nourished and was not at its peak condition. Therefore, there was no need for him to fight to the death with his opponent. This was maturity. Sitting in the teleportation array, Night Sorrow returned to the spatial tunnel entrance. "How is it?" Wu Lingfei asked Night Sorrow. "We destroyed some cities and killed some of the bloody Death Guards, but Seven Fiends King managed to escape," Night Sorrow said. "The Seven Fiends King ran away," said Wu Lingfei to Night Sorrow. "He couldn't beat me, but the blood-chart Death Sworn tried to intercept him, so he escaped." Night Sorrow nodded. "Night Sorrow, you're too calm. The Seven Fiends King is a peak saint." Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow in surprise. She was only a peak 4-star saint and had yet to become a 5-star saint. "I didn't kill him," Night Sorrow said with a smile. "What's going on?" Taishu Yen, Jun Xuanji, and Long Xianxing walked out of the spatial tunnel. Night Sorrow went to the underworld and killed the Seven Fiends King, but now he's so calm. This is great news. Even though Wu Lingfei had a cold personality, she was still very excited. She viewed Night Sorrow as family. Night Sorrow's accomplishments naturally made her very happy. "So powerful." "That's a peak saint," said Long Xianxing as he stroked his beard. "Then once Night Sorrow becomes a 9-star saint, we won't even have a problem fighting him," said Jun Xuanji. "Yes. Commanders have a lot of room for improvement, while peak saints don't have much room for improvement. So time is very good for us," said Long Xianxing. After everyone drank and celebrated, Night Sorrow went to the void fiendish space and created 2 more flames. This time, Night Sorrow directly endured the poisonous gas of the Netherworld Ancient Trees and brought the flames into the group of Netherworld Ancient Trees. This caused the 8 Hell Kings who were searching for Night Sorrow with Dark King 9 and 7 Fiends King to change their expressions. Because of the large amount of magma flames and the high intensity, they were very harmful to the Netherworld Ancient Trees. Next, the 8 Hell Kings explained the situation to Dark King 9 and 7 Fiends King. "They're too cunning. If this continues, we'll be at a disadvantage. How about this, 8 Hell Kings and 7 Fiends King, you 2 go back and guard the spatial tunnel. This king will patrol it again." "We can't lose the spatial tunnel," said Dark King 9 after thinking for a while. "Dark King 9, you can't let this affect your state of mind. As long as you enter the Saint King realm, you can change the situation," said the 8 Hell Kings. "This step has trapped this king for many years. Now there's an opportunity. Don't worry, this king won't have a problem." Dark King 9 nodded. Just as the Nether realm was in a panic, Night Sorrow drank tea with everyone and put some people who needed it into the Spacetime Treasure Pagoda. Then he entered the Spacetime Treasure Pagoda and began to cultivate. This time he went to the Nether realm to attack the Nether realm. On the other hand, Night Sorrow wanted to relax his state of mind. In other words, he came out to take a breather after his closed-door cultivation. For some people, cultivation was boring because there were no resources or insufficient resources. It consumed a lot of time and energy, so the improvement in cultivation was not significant. However, it was not the case for Night Sorrow. As long as he cultivated, the improvement in cultivation was very obvious. Another thing that made Night Sorrow happy and expectant was that his soul avatar was getting closer and closer to the large success stage. It was a recent matter. The large success stage of his soul avatar was equivalent to doubling his combat power. He could even fight 2 peak saints. Everyone saw Night Sorrow's efforts. This made everyone's enthusiasm for cultivation very high. Time slipped away bit by bit. Night Sorrow's cultivation was also rapidly improving. Jianghu and Bo Qing lived in fear and trepidation every day. Bo Qing's strength couldn't be restored or improved, but Jianghu could. Every day he constantly improved his compatibility with his new body. The compatibility between the soul and the body was directly related to one's battle prowess. If Jianghu's soul was completely compatible with his body, he would be able to recover his peak battle prowess. Of course, this wasn't realistic because it wasn't his body. It was impossible for him to completely merge with his soul. Even if he wanted to achieve a high compatibility, it would take a long time. This was also the reason why Jianghu had not merged with that body for so many years. In the past, it was because he could feel that his body still existed. Another reason was that there were too many drawbacks to merging with another person's body. This was also the reason why Jianghu had been persisting. Night Sorrow cultivated hard every day. Every time he went into seclusion, it would be for a very long time. Occasionally he would go to the space where Sikong Chuyu and the other girls were cultivating to have a cup of tea and chat with them. Night Sorrow did not calculate the passage of time. When he cultivated in the Spacetime Pagoda for 3 years, his soul avatar had reached the large success stage which doubled his combat power. However, Night Sorrow still did not come out of seclusion. He was not far from becoming an 8-star saint. In addition, he was also waiting for news of the reincarnation spear's nourishment. Now that he came out of seclusion, his main body and avatar only had 1 weapon, and they were not at their peak combat power. When Night Sorrow was in seclusion, the Nether Realm was in a festive mood because a Saint King had appeared in the Nether Realm. A Saint King who could suppress all saints. Search the basket to read the rest of the chapter. Chapter 909. Nether King 9 had entered the Saint King realm. This was a great boost to the Nether Realm because Saint Kings were only a legend in the Nether Realm. They had only appeared 10,000 years ago. Book Basket Nether King 9 once again stood guard at the entrance of the spatial tunnel. The 8 Hell Kings pushed the ancient Netherworld tree array to the edge of the array. Because Nether King 9 was no longer affected by the ancient Netherworld tree after entering the Saint King realm, her soul power completely enveloped the area. As long as Night Sorrow and the others did anything, she would discover it. After entering the Saint King realm, Nether King 9 was very confident that as long as anyone dared to leave the array, she would be able to control them and kill them. No one in the 9 regions world camp knew about this because Night Sorrow was not present. The array was a forbidden zone between 2 worlds. No one could enter. Night Sorrow's cultivation state was very stable. He was currently in the process of breaking through, so he did not leave the Spacetime Pagoda. In any case, the people he cared about were doing well. The members of the God-slaying team, his parents, grandfather, and Wu Lingfei were all in the Spacetime Pagoda. As for Yin Xiao, Night Sorrow felt that she was still young and did not need to enter the Spacetime Pagoda to cultivate. Stabilizing her foundation now was a good thing. When Night Sorrow entered the 8-star Saint realm and the 8-star Golden Body realm, he planned to come out and stabilize his realm. It was not a good thing to increase one's cultivation too quickly. The main reason was that the 9 regions' origin energy told him that the reincarnation spear in the Heaven Sealing Hall had finished nourishing it. This situation made Night Sorrow very excited. This was great news for him. Not having the reincarnation spear by his side for the past few years had been a torture for him. After leaving the Spacetime Pagoda, Night Sorrow entered the array to patrol. After patrolling, Night Sorrow was stunned because the ancient Netherworld tree had boldly surrounded him again. This made Night Sorrow very puzzled. Was it not afraid that he would create flames? At this point, the fusion between the Void Space and the Void Fate Pearl was 80% complete. Once the fusion was complete, Night Sorrow would be able to fully control the Void Space. He could even pour the lava lake into the Nether Realm. After watching Night Sorrow for a while, Yi Shiwen retreated. He didn't have any good solutions now. If he didn't break through the ancient Netherworld tree's blockade of the spatial passageway, he wouldn't be able to engage in a great battle or decisive battle. He was now confident that he could defeat the opponent's expert, but he still had to make ample preparations. No matter what, he had to retrieve the reincarnation spear. Without bringing the Spacetime Pagoda or greeting anyone, Night Sorrow arrived at the Heaven Sealing Hall. 8-star Saint, your cultivation level has increased quite a bit. You can solve some problems now. Look at your spear. The 9 regions origin energy waved his hand, and the energy wrapped around the reincarnation spear and brought it in front of Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow stretched out his right hand and grasped the reincarnation spear. That feeling of lacking steadfastness immediately disappeared from Night Sorrow's heart. Steady with the reincarnation spear in his hand, Night Sorrow felt incomparably steadfast. After that, the 9 regions origin energy told Night Sorrow that the reincarnation spear was a king weapon. Even a king realm expert wouldn't be able to damage it. In addition, it would gradually reveal its power as Night Sorrow's cultivation level increased. Currently, it could increase the power of Night Sorrow's attack by 20%. Thank you, Senior. I can solve some problems now. I'll go and kill those 2 guys in a while. Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow wanted to kill Jianghu and Bo Qing. When Jianghu and Bo Qing said that they were the remnants of the Yi clan, Night Sorrow had already planned to kill them. Pete, when you were a 4-star saint, they couldn't take you down. Now that you are an 8-star saint, they can only be killed. Be careful not to let them run away. They are very experienced cultivators. If they hide, it will be difficult to deal with them. The 9 regions origin energy reminded Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded. His body shook and a green-robed Night Sorrow appeared. It was Night Sorrow's soul clone. Night Sorrow handed the sky-splitting spear on his back to his clone. Then the clone merged with his main body again. The energy contained in your clone is 90% of the main bodies. It's very rare that you haven't been stuck at the Saint Realm, the 9 regions origin energy said. With the 9 regions origin energy's explanation, Night Sorrow understood that if it wasn't for a special innate soul clone secret technique, the clone's cultivation level would always be below the Saint Realm, and it wouldn't be able to use the power of rules. This made Night Sorrow understand why Night Sorrow was said to be powerful, but his clone was only at the peak of the Venerable Realm. It was because the level of the soul clone's secret technique was low. Under the guidance of the 9 regions origin energy, Night Sorrow passed through the bottom of Haotian City and Haotian Mountain. Then he tore open the space and entered the space suppressed by Haotian City. This time, Night Sorrow didn't travel through the spatial turbulence. Instead, he flew directly toward the mountain in the middle of the space. He didn't need to be sneaky now. However, the Great Ming Dynasty had set up a tough battle. He wasn't here to investigate. He was here to kill. When Night Sorrow arrived at the mountain, the vigilant Jianghu and Bo Qing discovered him. The 2 of them didn't care why Night Sorrow was a 4-star saint the last time he came. Now he was an 8-star saint. They directly suppressed the surrounding space with the power of rules, not giving Night Sorrow a chance to tear open the space and escape. They started to kill him. They felt that this was a chance to snatch back the space origin. At this moment, Night Sorrow's body shook. His soul clone appeared and charged toward Jianghu with his original body. Jianghu had fused with someone else's body. His cultivation was a 7-star saint, but his aura was very unstable. His strength was still different from Bo Qing, who was a peak saint. Seeing Night Sorrow's 8-star saint soul clone, Jianghu and Bo Qing were stunned. In the heaven mystic world, the secret technique of cultivating soul clones was very common. However, there weren't many people who cultivated it. A soul clone that could send messages wasn't very useful. A soul clone that had 30% of one's strength was also useless in battle. Having a soul clone that had 70% of one's strength was very harmful to one's soul. Therefore, not many people cultivated it. The main reason was that it was hard to find a top-notch medium. The most important point was that no matter how one cultivated it, the soul clone would be below the Saint Realm. Therefore, many people didn't care about it. Night Sorrow's original body and soul clone chased after Jianghu. After a few exchanges, Jianghu couldn't take it anymore. Each of Night Sorrow's spear attacks contained explosive power that could send Jianghu flying. Bo Qing's attacks against Night Sorrow's original body all missed. Night Sorrow's speed was too fast. He far surpassed them. At this time, Jianghu and Bo Qing were afraid. The 3 of them weren't even on the same level. After a few exchanges, Bo Qing did something that Night Sorrow could understand. However, Jianghu was very angry. He didn't care about Jianghu anymore. He didn't stop Night Sorrow's original body and soul clone from suppressing Jianghu. He turned and ran. Bo Qing, are you still human? Do you still have any brotherhood? Jianghu roared. He knew that if Bo Qing ran away he would definitely die. You want to run? Do you have a chance? Night Sorrow roared. His soul clone used a spatial cut to block Bo Qing's attack. Night Sorrow's original body continued to suppress Jianghu's attacks. When Jianghu once again raised his saber to block, Night Sorrow used vibration energy to push Jianghu's saber away. His spear pierced through Jianghu's body, and then a fierce energy shock wave followed. What the hell is this? It's attacking the soul. At this time, a small Jianghu appeared above his destroyed body. His body was destroyed, so Jianghu planned to use his soul to escape. Night Sorrow used soul extinguishing / His myriad Daos become gods was the first to be read for free. Chapter 9-10. Jianghu wanted to escape with his soul, but Night Sorrow wanted to completely kill them. Naturally, he wouldn't give him the chance, so he used the soul extinguishing / Yishang's soul annihilation / was extremely fast. It instantly slashed Jianghu's soul body, directly slicing it in half. After killing Jianghu, Night Sorrow's main body also charged towards Bo Qing. Night Sorrow's main body and soul avatar attacked at the same time. How could Bo Qing block them? When Night Sorrow's main body's reincarnation spear pierced Bo Qing's body, Night Sorrow discovered that the reincarnation spear's blade released a special kind of energy that directly attacked Bo Qing's spirit sea. It rushed into Bo Qing's god bead and then annihilated his soul. Standing there and thinking for a moment, Night Sorrow understood what was going on. The reincarnation spear's blade was made from reincarnation stone and had the ability to harm souls. Night Sorrow took Jianghu and Bo Qing sank crystals, weapons and storage rings. Opening the storage rings, Night Sorrow was very disappointed because the two of them were too poor. They didn't even have a single spirit stone or crystal. However, Night Sorrow obtained 2 relatively large transmission crystals from Bo Qing's storage ring. Although Night Sorrow was a little disappointed that he didn't obtain anything, it didn't matter. His purpose in coming here was to kill, and now he had achieved his goal. Soon after, Night Sorrow left the space and returned to the 9-domain world. How was it? The 9-domain world's origin chi avatar appeared in front of Night Sorrow. Kill them. Kill both of them. We'll leave this space as it is for now. Later, my fiancé will refine this space's origin stone and take it away, Yishang said. I know that your wind attribute fiancé will take a long time to refine this space, which will delay your fused space from repairing the 9-domain world. This way I will suppress and squeeze this space into the 9-domain world. This way your fiancé will be able to refine it whenever she wants, the 9-domain origin body said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded and said, Alright, then I'll have to trouble you, senior. Now that I've mastered my avatar and have a high-end weapon, it shouldn't be too difficult to solve the problem in Nether Realm. When a spatial world is conquered, the origin of the spatial world will naturally become a subsidiary. Right now, the Profound Mysteries Realm and Supreme River Space are actually subsidiaries of the 9-domain world. If we can conquer the Nether Realm, it will be very beneficial to the development of the 9-domain world. The 9-domain origin body said something Yishan didn't know. So it's like that. I have another question. Right now, the Profound Mysteries Realm is a subsidiary world of 9-domain world. Can the people of that world come to the Heaven Sealing Palace to be granted a title? Night Sorrow asked. The main thing was that he had promised Jun Xuanji. That's up to you. I will respect your decision, the 9-domain origin body said. Look small, speak. If we want to rule for a long time, we must have good governance and let the people of the Profound Mysteries Realm feel our sincerity. Only then will we be able to stabilize our current relationship. However, I will also respect Senior's decision, Night Sorrow said. What you say makes sense. Once 9-domain world is complete, the origin of 9-domain world will fuse with your sovereign space's origin. You will be the ruler of 9-domain world. Go to the Profound Mysteries Realm once, and you will be able to sense the origin of the subsidiary world. You will be able to obtain a strand of origin energy, and then the matter will be resolved. As for Supreme River Space, that is a high-level elemental space. In the future, you will also be able to sense the location of the origin. However, I do not recommend that you let others refine it because this is related to many things. You will understand in the future, the 9-domain origin body said. Then Yishang understands. If there's anything you need, you can communicate with my avatar. If there's a need, my true body will rush over immediately. Yishang bowed to the 9 regions origin energy avatar and then left. After arriving at the teleportation array between Medicine Valley and Supreme River Space, Night Sorrow left Supreme River Space and went to the Void Space. At this time, the Void Space's fusion was about 10% complete, but the last part was a bit slower. Without the Spacetime Pagoda by his side, Night Sorrow didn't have any ideas about the lava flames. After that, Night Sorrow went to the sacred hall to see that the children's cultivation was fine. Only then did he return to the camp at the entrance of the Nether Realm's passageway. After carrying that spear on your back, your aura has become even sharper. Although you aren't targeting anyone, Aunt Fei can sense that the spear on your back will be fatal. Wu Lingfei, who had come out of the space-time pagoda for a breath of fresh air, smiled. She had just become a 5-star saint. It feels great to have a spear on me. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of any battle, said Night Sorrow with a smile. How is it? Has the problem with the weapon been resolved? Asked Wu Lingfei. It's been resolved. It's perfect. Aunt Fei, this spatial ring has a lot of space. Take it. Night Sorrow took out Jianghu's spatial ring. There's no need. Aunt Fei has her own spatial ring. I don't need a spatial ring that's too big. Leave it for your parents and fiancé. They might need it, said Wu Lingfei. That's fine. Aunt Fei, come and have some tea, said Night Sorrow. Tea? That's great, said Wu Lingfei with a smile. Then Night Sorrow went to his tent and brewed a pot of tea. If you don't have any Dao comprehension tea, I still have some here. Take it. Seeing that Night Sorrow had brewed ordinary tea, Wu Lingfei took the Dao comprehension tea from her spatial ring. Yes, but I don't drink much. I'm planning to drink it when I reach the peak of the Saint Realm, said Night Sorrow with a smile. You know how to be frugal. Wu Lingfei glanced at Night Sorrow and put away the Dao comprehension tea. Yishang smiled. Good steel had to be used on the blade. Right now he didn't need to comprehend anything. After accompanying Wu Lingfei for a while, Night Sorrow went to the space-time pagoda to accompany his parents. Then he went to see the god-slaying squad. After thinking about it, Night Sorrow brought everyone out of the space-time pagoda. Everyone's cultivation speed was too fast, and Night Sorrow was worried that their foundation would be unstable. In addition, he planned to go to the Nether Realm and see who would try to kill him. He would kill whoever tried to kill him. At this moment, Night Sorrow felt like he was a huge pit. Night Sorrow planned to take Jianghu with him. They were brothers. Night Sorrow had also promised Jianghu that he would take him with him when he fought. In the command tent, Night Sorrow told everyone his thoughts. No one objected to Night Sorrow's decision because everyone knew that Night Sorrow's strength was terrifying. Although they hadn't fought before and couldn't compare, everyone felt that Night Sorrow was stronger than the 4 peak saints. Among the peak saints of the 9 regions world, only Long Xianxing and Xian Wenxiu could defeat 7 Fiends King one-on-one. However, Night Sorrow could make 7 Fiends King flee. One had to know that when 7 Fiends King fled, Night Sorrow was only a 7-star saint. His soul clone hadn't reached large success yet. Now that Night Sorrow was an 8-star saint, his strength had increased greatly. Therefore, Night Sorrow's strength was recognized by everyone as the strongest. Download God Ascension through Myriad Dao for free. Chapter 9:11. Sitting in the teleportation formation, Night Sorrow arrived in the Nether Realm. The other 2 teleportation formations were too well hidden, so the demons and warriors of the Nether Realm didn't discover them. Lanshu. Holding the map, Night Sorrow found a city and began the war to destroy the City Lord's manor. The City Lord's mansion in the Nether Realm had guards, but they couldn't stop Yishang's massacre. Very quickly, the 9 underworld monarch at the entrance of the Nether Realm received the news. 9 regions commander Night Sorrow is courting death. 8 Hell Kings, 7 Fiend Kings, guard this place well. This king will go and kill him. Let the 9 regions world know our strength and make them behave. After saying that, 9 Hades left the command tent in the Nether Realm and went to kill Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow was still steadily destroying cities. Now he was waiting for the other side to kill him. After killing for 2 days, Night Sorrow had cleared out more than 20 cities. 9 Hades stopped him. 9 regions commander Night Sorrow. 9 Hades waved the scimitar in his hand and coldly looked at Night Sorrow. I know you're 9 Hades. Is this your true body or a clone? Night Sorrow asked. This king doesn't need his true body to kill you, said 9 Hades coldly. The clone is actually a saint ruler, Yishang subconsciously asked as he looked at the 9 underworld king's clone. At this moment, Yishang was very shocked because this clone of Pluto 9 wasn't a peak saint but a 1-star saint king. During this period of time, Night Sorrow had been wondering why the Netherworld realm's Netherworld king's avatars were so powerful. This king can see your bone age. You're an 8-star holy king in your 30s. You're a rare genius. But now this king wants to kill you and take your fate. As for the clone being a holy king, it's a talent of the Nether race. We cultivate a soul clone. The soul clone's realm is the same as the true body's, and it has 70% of the true body's strength. Are you satisfied with this answer? Nine Hades was also very shocked because Night Sorrow was too young. Then let's not talk about it. I still don't know how strong a holy king is. Night Sorrow waved his reincarnation spear. Night Sorrow knew a little about the Holy King realm from the Clear Heaven scripture. It was the nascent soul formed after the core pearl was broken. Their strength far surpassed that of a holy king. No wonder you can become the commander of the 9 regions. You know this king is a holy king, but you don't want to run. This king admires you. Nine Hades waved his scimitar and attacked Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow waved his reincarnation spear and stabbed it towards Nine Hades' scimitar. Ding! With a crisp sound, Night Sorrow and Nine Hades separated. Night Sorrow retreated 10 meters away while Nine Hades retreated 15 meters. Nine Hades was a 1-star holy king. Her true chi was abundant, and her control of the power of laws was very deep. However, she was only a clone. Although she had a cultivation realm, her clone only had 70% of the cultivation of the main body. Therefore, she couldn't defeat Night Sorrow. The main reason was that Night Sorrow's body was too strong. You are very strong. You can say that you are invincible under the Holy King realm. However, this king is a holy king. Come. Nine Hades roared and rushed forward to fight Night Sorrow. At this moment, Night Sorrow didn't use his soul clone. If his main body couldn't even defeat Nine Hades' clone, then the gap between them would be too big. He now wanted to compare the situation between himself and Nine Hades. Night Sorrow's innate bloodline energy was spatial energy to protect his body. The law of nothingness suppressed Nine Hades' law of death. He poured his true chi of nothingness into his reincarnation spear and started to fight Nine Hades head-on. After a few exchanges, Nine Hades was suppressed by Night Sorrow. That was because Night Sorrow's attributes and laws were higher than hers. Your clone isn't my match. If your main body doesn't come, then you won't be able to keep this clone. Night Sorrow roared. His attacks became more and more berserk. The more he fought, the more excited he became. This was a carefree and unrestrained battle. You are very strong. This king will treat you as an opponent. However, if you want to destroy this king's clone, then you're dreaming. Netherworld Chi explosion. At this moment, Nine Hades waved her arm. Over 10 balls of Netherworld Chi appeared and then exploded. When the balls of Netherworld Chi exploded, Nine Hades' clone flashed away from the battlefield and quickly fled. Night Sorrow didn't chase because Nine Hades' clone was already very far away. After thinking for a moment, Night Sorrow hurried back to the transportation formation and teleported to the command tent at the entrance of the spatial tunnel. We robbed a lot of resources again. Heavenly Underworld Saint said with a smile. But there is a new problem. The enemy's Nine Hades has advanced to the Saint King realm. However, she should have just advanced not long ago. Night Sorrow said. She has advanced to the Saint King realm? Long Xianxing and the others' faces changed. Yes, but it's not a big problem. I met her soul clone. My main body can suppress her soul clone. According to my estimation, even if I meet her main body, I should be able to fight. Night Sorrow said. It's good that you can fight. If you can't, we can only guard the entrance of the spatial tunnel. There is no way we can win the war. Long Xianxing said. It doesn't matter. However, we have to deal with her as soon as possible. She has too much room for improvement and I only have room for improvement by 1 level. Night Sorrow said. Don't worry too much. We all know how much energy a Saint King needs to improve by 1 level. The amount of energy a Saint King needs to improve is even more immeasurable. She can suppress us saints for a short time, but to improve she needs a lot of time and resources. Long Xianxing said. Even if I can fight now, I'm afraid I can't kill her. Based on her clone's battle prowess, even if I defeat her original body, I won't be able to stop her if she wants to escape, said Yishang. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, everyone felt more at ease. Because Night Sorrow could still suppress Nine Hades. To be precise, he could suppress Nine Hades' Saint King. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow stood up. I'll go take a look. If Nine Hades' Saint King doesn't come back, I'll kill some of their saints. We'll go with you. Long Xianxing, Xian Wenxiu, and the other 3 peak saints stood up. After checking the array, Night Sorrow sighed. Nine Hades' Saint King had returned, and both her main body and her clone had appeared in the tent. When he checked, she happened to merge with her main body. After losing the opportunity to kill the enemy, Night Sorrow retreated with a few people. However, he also knew that 9 Hades Saint King didn't dare to leave this place and couldn't focus on cultivating. In the tent of the Nether Realm, 9 Hades Saint King had a serious expression. Kill their commander? 7 Fiends Saint King asked. No, this king's clone was almost killed by him. That 9 regions commander is indeed a rare genius. He has the space attribute law and he also has the supreme law. Maybe this king's main body and my clone can fight him together to have a chance of winning. 9 Hades Saint King explained. 9 Hades Saint King, you didn't see wrong? 8 Hell King asked in shock. This king still has this bit of eyesight. It should be the void attribute. 9 Hades Saint King was a little disappointed. Download Myriad Dao Ascension for free. Chapter 9:12. Then what are we going to do about this situation? 9, you have to focus on your cultivation, 8 Hell King said. This king can't leave this place. Otherwise you guys will talk about the 8 Dragon Cauldron. Seeing Night Sorrow, Jianghu and the other 2 were especially happy. Click on Myriad Dao Ascension to read it for free. Chapter 9:13. In the public square, Long Xianxing and the others had said that Night Sorrow was the strongest person in the 9 regions camp and was already an 8-star saint. This was not only the glory of the Night Moon dynasty and the Eastern Profound Domain, but also the glory of the Medicine Valley. 13 Your eldest senior brother is now the acting Valley Master of the Medicine Valley. After a while, I will officially pass the position to him, but in fact, many things are done by your senior brother Chu Lingxiao and the other elders, Jianghu said with a smile. Eldest senior brother and senior brother Chu are both talents in charge of a region. There is no problem with the Medicine Valley, Night Sorrow said. So, you are not suitable for the position of Deputy Valley Master, the Great Elder said. Great Elder, you think too much. I don't care about this, so I won't take up the position. I won't do anything either. In short, I am a disciple of the Medicine Valley. Just don't kick me out of the Medicine Valley, Night Sorrow said. What are you thinking? We mean to let you enter the worship hall and be promoted to a Supreme Elder, Hua Yunping said. No, that won't do. Is there a Supreme Elder as young as me? I can't do that. I am a disciple of the Medicine Valley. Night Sorrow hurriedly waved his hand. Child, why can't you do it? You are young, but you are also a commander of the 9 regions, the Great Elder said helplessly as he looked at Night Sorrow. 13 Don't refuse. You are the commander of the 2 commanderies. If you are just an ordinary disciple in the Medicine Valley, then the Medicine Valley will not be able to face other people's eyes, Jianghu said. Okay, I will listen to Master's arrangement. Night Sorrow nodded. Since Jianghu said so, he could no longer refuse. Well, isn't that it? The Great Elder said with a smile. There is one more thing. My clone has succeeded, so I plan to go to Danding Cliff to take the 8 Dragon Cauldron. I can only leave the 8 Dragon Cauldron sub-body for the Medicine Valley. Night Sorrow stated his purpose for coming here. In the upcoming battle, he wanted to increase his combat strength as much as possible. Of course, the 8 Dragon Cauldron has recognized you as its master. You can do whatever you want with it. There is no need for discussion, the Great Elder said. More Night Sorrow chatted with the 3 elders of his sect for a while, then went to the Medicine Valley with Jianghu. At the bottom of the Pill Cauldron Cliff, Jianghu waited while Night Sorrow began to climb the cliff. In just a few breaths of time, Night Sorrow arrived at the bottom of the 8 Dragon Cauldron. The 8 Dragon Cauldron rotated and descended in front of Night Sorrow. Indomitable spirit, your cultivation speed is really fast, said the 8 Dragons Cauldron's artifact spirit. I've mastered my clone. This time I'm here to take you away. Are you willing? Night Sorrow stated his intentions. Of course. I've been waiting for you for a long time, the 8 Dragon Cauldron said. The energy on Night Sorrow's body vibrated, and his soul avatar appeared beside him. An 8-star saint, and your soul avatar is also an 8-star saint. This is very good. This saint is coming. The 8 Dragon Cauldron rotated, then shrank and directly entered the Dantian of Night Sorrow's soul avatar. The 8 Dragon Cauldron already had Night Sorrow's soul power, so there was no need to refine it. It was already very compatible. At this time, the 8 Dragon Cauldron's secondary body rotated at the top of Pill Cauldron Cliff. Its energy continued to envelop Pill Cauldron Cliff, and it was almost unaffected. Night Sorrow and Jianghu went to the Taishan Peak to sit down. Night Sorrow drank some wine with his senior brothers before returning to the entrance of the Nether Realm. These peaceful days, aside from cultivating, Night Sorrow also practiced his spear intent and familiarized himself with the 8 Dragon Cauldron's effects. The 8 Dragon Cauldron's strongest point was its defense. It could envelop Night Sorrow's avatar in battle, and it could also help its master recover. The 8 Dragon Cauldron had a medicinal spirit strength, and its main body could also smash enemies and capture their souls. It was very strong. That was the feeling the 8 Dragon Cauldron gave Night Sorrow, especially its defensive power. Night Sorrow could sense that even a high-level saint wouldn't be able to break through its defenses if he used his full strength. This greatly increased the strength of Night Sorrow's avatar. Night Sorrow wanted to fight 9E Nether King once, but he didn't have a chance to fight him alone. Night Sorrow didn't think about continuing to wreak havoc in the Nether Realm and waiting to be intercepted. 9E Nether King wouldn't go alone if he wanted to. Night Sorrow decided to stabilize himself first. Furthermore, 9E Nether King's cultivation wouldn't increase too much in a short period of time, and he could reach the peak of 9-star Saint. There was still a lot of room for him to reach. Everyone had the same opinion about the current situation, and that was to let Night Sorrow stabilize himself first. 9E Nether King was strong, but they weren't afraid. Last time, when Night Sorrow fought with 9E Nether King, everyone knew that Night Sorrow had won. Another point was that Night Sorrow couldn't take the risk now. Mending the 9 regions world was the most important thing, and it wouldn't take too long. No matter who had problems, Night Sorrow couldn't have any problems. Night Sorrow was also very stable. Every day he would quietly increase his strength, stabilize his cultivation, and ease his emotions. Seeing that Night Sorrow was stable, Long Xianxing and the others felt at ease. They were afraid that Night Sorrow would act rashly. What they didn't know was that Night Sorrow viewed mending the 9 regions world as more important than anyone else. If the 9 regions world didn't attack, the Netherworld realm could only passively defend. 9E Nether King didn't dare to leave the command tent because she knew that if she left, Night Sorrow would appear. If she wasn't there, Night Sorrow's massacre would be a disaster for the Netherworld realm. Such a situation made 9E Nether King very passive. Her fastest cultivation location was the Netherworld Abyss. At the entrance of the Netherworld realm, she could only use the energy she had accumulated when she was stuck at a bottleneck to increase her cultivation. After calming his emotions for half a month, Night Sorrow kept all the people who should enter the Time-Space Pagoda. He entered the 79th floor of the Time-Space Pagoda and began to cultivate. There was a time acceleration of 9 times there, and it would allow him to increase his cultivation in the shortest time in the real world. While Night Sorrow was in seclusion, the others were also cultivating diligently. As for whether they could enter the Time-Space Pagoda to cultivate, no one cared because everyone knew that the Time-Space Pagoda consumed spirit stones. Night Sorrow was the one who provided the resources for others to cultivate. 9E Nether King also didn't know that Night Sorrow was in seclusion. She could only cultivate in the command tent of the Netherworld realm. Night Sorrow's cultivation was increasing rapidly. The energy on the 79th floor of the Time-Space Pagoda was too dense. As long as he refined it, the energy would be endless. Of course, he also gave Little Kong 300 peak-grade spirit stones. He wasn't the only one cultivating in the Time-Space Pagoda. The God-slaying team and his family members were all cultivating. Therefore, the Time-Space Pagoda needed spirit stones. Each seclusion lasted at most a year. In the outside world, it was only a little more than a month. Night Sorrow would go out and take a look at the Saint Hall. He would relax a little before continuing his cultivation. When Night Sorrow cultivated in the Time-Space Pagoda for 5 years, the fusion of the void fiendish space was nearing its end. This made him look forward to it. However, this didn't affect his cultivation. When Night Sorrow cultivated in the Time-Space Pagoda for 10 years and reached the 9-star Saint realm, the fusion of the void fiendish space was completed. You can read the rest of the chapter. Chapter 9:14. Night Sorrow exited the Pagoda of Time and Space. After greeting everyone he met, he teleported to the tunnel between the Supreme River Space and the Medicine Valley, returning to the 9 Realms world. Lan Shu, there was no need for Night Sorrow to go to the place where he entered the void space. With his soul power, the Void Fate Pearl directly broke through space and entered Night Sorrow's Divine Sea. The Void Fate Pearl in the Divine Sea made Night Sorrow feel very secure. It was like a part of his soul. At this time, Night Sorrow was also controlling the Heaven Sealing Hall clone to communicate with the 9 Realms origin. Knowing that Night Sorrow had finished refining the void space, the Nine Realms Origin was very excited. It asked Night Sorrow to bring the Void Fate Pearl over. However, Night Sorrow had his own plans. He wanted to use the lava to destroy the ancient tree of the Netherworld in one go. Knowing Night Sorrow's decision, the Nine Realms Origin supported it. It was important to win a realm war. The Nine Realms world had defeated the Profound Mysteries realm and the Supreme River space. It had already gained a lot. Returning to the tunnel in the Nether realm, Night Sorrow didn't say anything to anyone. He passed through the formation and directly controlled the Void Fate Pearl to pour out a part of the lava. Although it was only a part, it surrounded all the ancient tree of the Netherworld. Surrounded by the lava, the ancient tree of the Netherworld squeaked. Only one ancient tree of the Netherworld moved out. The others were too slow and were burned to death. At this time, Hades' 9 Yin's main body and clone, 8 Hell King's clones, and 7 Fiends King all charged at Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow cut through the protective barrier and returned to the formation. He had just become a 9-star saint and his cultivation wasn't stable yet. He didn't want to fight anyone. 8 Hell King, 7 Fiends King, and Hades' 9 Yin's main body and clone were all peak saints. It was unrealistic to fight them head-on. After Night Sorrow left, Hades' 9 Yin's face turned green with anger. She used the power of laws to imprison Night Sorrow, but it was useless. Night Sorrow's spatial blade cut through it. 8 Hell King, how are you? Hades' 9 Yin asked when she saw 8 Hell King's pale face. The speed of the ancient nether tree is slow. Even if I moved at full speed, I would still be injured by the violent magma. All the other ancient nether trees were annihilated by the magma, said the 8th Hell King. Of the Nether Realm World's camp. In other words, the Nine Realms world could fight whenever they wanted. In the Nether Realm to camp could only to fight, and Nether Realm camp could only to defend. Of the Nether Realm camp was Nether. The flames that Night Sorrow poured out this time were the core flames of the lava lake that spanned tens of thousands of miles. It was more than 10 times more powerful than the flames that he had transported the previous few times. That was why it could instantly annihilate all the ancient Netherworld trees except for the 8 Hell Kings. Night Sorrow came out of the array with a smile on his face. After breaking the ancient tree of the Netherworld seal, he had the upper hand again. When they arrived at the command tent, Night Sorrow explained the situation to everyone. Beautiful. We can fight at any time now, Sky Underworld Saint said. Not yet. The commander has just become a 9-star saint. He needs to stabilize his cultivation. Now is not the best time to fight, Long Xianxing said. I still have some things to do. Let them be worried for a while. Everyone don't worry. And Fei, come with me. Night Sorrow nodded to Wu Lingfei and left the command tent. He then brought Wu Lingfei to the 60th floor of the Spacetime Pagoda. When they reached the 60th floor of the Spacetime Pagoda, Night Sorrow led Yang Lei and the others to the 60th floor as well. Then he called Liang Yu, who was cultivating, over. Captain, what's going on? Liang Yu was currently cultivating. He was a 6-star venerable and the person with the highest cultivation base in the God-slaying squad. Aunt Fei, 9th senior sister, Liang Yu, the 3 of you possess the 9-domain world's core energy. Now, I'm going to complete the 9-domain world. Your core energy will be taken back by the 9-domain world's core energy. Although it'll leave you with core energy, it'll also cause you some harm, said Night Sorrow. Aunt Fei, it's fine. Wu Lingfei nodded. I've already grasped the fire attribute laws. My core energy being taken back won't affect me much. Liang Yu also nodded. Haha, I've also grasped the lightning attribute laws. My efforts over the past few years haven't been in vain, said Yang Lei with a smile. In that case, I won't wait any longer. Completing the 9-domain world and perfecting the 9-domain world's core energy is very important. If any of you wish to enter or leave the Spacetime Pagoda, just shout. The Spacetime Pagoda's artifact spirit will make the arrangements. Night Sorrow then left the Spacetime Pagoda and headed for the teleportation array at the bottom of Clear Sky City. After passing through the bottom of Clear Sky City, Night Sorrow directly flew to the Heaven Sealing Hall. At that moment, the 9-domain world's core energy clone was already waiting for Night Sorrow. Senior, please make the arrangements for completing the 9-domain world, said Night Sorrow. Follow me. The 9-domain world's core energy clone brought Night Sorrow through Clear Sky City and Clear Sky Mountain to the bottom of Clear Sky Mountain. Through the 9-domain world's spatial barrier, Night Sorrow could sense the void below and the berserk spatial turbulence. In a moment, control the Void Fate Pearl and place the Void Fiendish space here. Then do your best to enlarge it and squeeze it in all directions. Completely seal off the shattered region, said the 9-domain world's core energy clone to Night Sorrow. Alright. Is there anything else I need to take note of? Night Sorrow was very excited that he was about to complete the 9-domain world. Don't be in such a hurry. This is only the first step. After that, give the Void Fate Pearl to me. I will control the 9-domain world's core energy and fuse it. In the future, the Void Fate Pearl will be the 9-domain world's Void Fate Pearl, said the 9-domain world's core energy clone to Night Sorrow. Senior, this won't harm you? Asked Night Sorrow. No. The void fiendish space is still immature. It doesn't have any intelligence. In the future, I will be the Void Fate Pearl's intelligence, and you will be the master of the 9-domain world. You are the master of the Void Fate Pearl. After the fusion, I will have to comply with your wishes, said the 9-domain world's core energy clone. I understand. I am from the 9-domain world. I will not harm the 9-domain world, said Night Sorrow. Of course I know that. The Heavenly Tao recognizes you and allows you to be blessed with merit. This is not false. You may begin. Just follow my instructions, said the 9-domain world's core energy clone. Night Sorrow nodded. Using the law of nothingness to protect himself, he passed through the bottom of Clear Sky Mountain. Then he controlled the Void Fate Pearl to bring out the void fiendish space and fill it in the shattered region of the 9-domain world. The void fiendish space was larger than the shattered space of the 9-domain world. It directly filled the shattered region and then extended in all directions. At that moment, landslides and tsunamis occurred around Clear Sky City. The ground of the 9-domain world was being compressed and extended in all directions. The life forms of the 9-domain world could feel it. They all knew that the 9-domain world was changing. After filling it in, the void fiendish space was still complete. It was just that the space had shrunk a little, but it was more solid. Try becoming a god through all Daos for free. Chapter 9:15. As the shattered regions of the 9 zones world were filled up, the world stabilized. Destiny Origin Pearl. The 9 zones origin energy called out to Night Sorrow. Then, Night Sorrow activated his Destiny Origin Pearl and floated out of his deity ocean. Don't resist or repel it. The 9 zones origin energy entered the Destiny Origin Pearl. When the 9 realms origin energy entered the Void Destiny Pearl, Yi Shang had a different kind of enlightenment. He understood some of the 9 realms world situation and some information about it. In addition, Night Sorrow felt that his intimacy with the 9 zones world had greatly increased. This was not the end. Following that, a few rays of light flew from the horizon and entered the Destiny Origin Pearl above Night Sorrow's head. 9 zones origin. Night Sorrow knew that these were the 9 zones origin stones. Earth, water, wind, fire, darkness, lightning, space, time, life. 9 origin stones entered Yi Shang's ethereal fate pearl. Then, the 9 origin stones shattered and transformed into 9 streams of energy that swam around the ethereal fate pearl. These were the 9 zones origin pearls of the 9 zones world. After a while, Night Sorrow's Destiny Origin Pearl stabilized. At this time, the 9 zones origin energy told Night Sorrow that what followed was a fusion process. When the fusion was complete, the 9 zones world would be the embryonic form of a supreme world. As it developed and matured, it would become a world of supreme laws in the future. Other things that Night Sorrow did not understand, the 9 zones origin energy also explained to Night Sorrow. The 9 zones origin energy had told Night Sorrow that it had only nurtured one high-level origin, which was Dongxuan's life origin. Now the time and space origin pearls had appeared. Space and time were the foundation of any world in space. However, the 9 zones origin pearls of space and time were very weak. They were only the embryonic form of existence. The 9 zones world had always been developing towards a world of life. It had the 7 normal attributes of earth, water, wind, fire, darkness, light and lightning, with space and time as the foundation, and life as the core of development. But 10,000 years ago the origin bead was shattered, and the light origin bead was taken away. As a result, the 9 regions world did not have a light attribute origin, and very few light attribute life forms appeared. Even if there were, they were extremely rare, and they were created by the light attribute energy that had been left behind in the past. This made Night Sorrow understand why his father was the only person with the light attribute after such a long time. S+X afterward, Night Sorrow also asked about how to solve the problem of the light origin energy in the future. The 9 regions origin energy told Night Sorrow that the 9 regions world was currently developing with the ultimate attribute as its core. As time passed, the light origin energy would naturally nurture the light origin energy. Night Sorrow felt at ease because the 9 regions world had already been completed. All that was left was development, and as time went on, that would be the supreme world. As for the other 9 realms, they used the void space that Night Sorrow had refined as the core. With the void fate pearl fused with the origin, Night Sorrow naturally became the ruler of the 9 realms. In fact, even without the 9 regions origin energy telling him, Night Sorrow felt the same way. He could now control the energy of the 9 regions world, and he didn't even need to fight. He could use the energy of the 9 regions world to suppress some opponents. Even if the other party can break through the space barrier and enter, even if their cultivation is much higher than yours, they will still be at a disadvantage when fighting against you. So, even if the Great Slaughter Calamity comes, there is nothing to fear, the 9 regions origin energy explained to Night Sorrow. Senior, I don't understand. Great slaughter calamities often occurred in the past, so why didn't you choose to become the ruler of the 9 regions world? Night Sorrow asked. The 9 regions origin body then explained a few of the reasons. In the past, the 9 regions world had wanted to develop into a high-level life attribute world, so it couldn't recognize cultivators of the ordinary attribute as their masters. After the life attribute was born, there were no high-level life forms with the life attribute. Wu Lingfei had also advanced with the water attribute, and if Night Sorrow hadn't obtained the life Saint Crystal, she wouldn't have been able to advance to the life attribute. The 9 regions origin energy's explanation allowed Night Sorrow to understand some things. It wasn't that the 9 regions world didn't want to change, but that it couldn't. While Night Sorrow was communicating with the 9 regions origin energy, the 9 regions world below them had completely stabilized. At that moment, a sky full of lightning appeared. It struck towards Night Sorrow's position. The lightning appeared out of nowhere, so it wasn't the lightning of the 9 regions world, but the Heavenly Tao's lightning. It was the Heavenly Tao's test of the 9 regions world's rebirth. Night Sorrow controlled the nihility principle and the 9 regions world's energy to block it. As the lightning tribulation descended, its power grew weaker and weaker until it was almost negligible in front of Night Sorrow. The lightning tribulation came wave after wave, and there were 9 waves. However, the power was the same and the damage wasn't very great. This is the rebirth lightning tribulation, the purple flame lightning tribulation. It has the power of rebirth, which is a good thing. The 9 regions origin energy's voice sounded in Night Sorrow's mind. Now, it was much easier for him to communicate with Night Sorrow than before. Night Sorrow asked if there would be any problems if he took the Nihility Fate Pearl, or rather, the 9 regions origin pearl, and left the core of the 9 regions world's clear sky city. The 9 regions origin Qi told Yishang that the 9 regions origin Qi could leave behind a secondary body and Yishang's clone in the Heaven Sealing Hall to guard this place. There would be no problems here. Even if a saint ruler wanted to destroy this place, they would still be crushed. Then Night Sorrow took back the 9 regions origin pearl and left the Clear Sky City. When they arrived at Clear Sky City, Yi Shan sensed the location of the Supreme Creek origin source. However, he still didn't understand why the 9-realm origin source energy body didn't want anyone else to refine the Supreme Creek origin source energy. As if it sensed Night Sorrow's thoughts, the 9 regions origin energy told Night Sorrow that it didn't want others to refine the Supreme River Space origin because it didn't want to hinder the development of the 9 regions world. Right now, the Supreme River Space was a subsidiary world of the 9 regions world. Its development was closely related to the 9 regions world. In addition, the appearance of the Space World Lord would also affect Night Sorrow. After thinking about it, Night Sorrow understood the reason. Before, he wanted to find the Supreme River Space origin and give it to Guanyi or Qingjin. Now he could only give up. Personal benefits couldn't be greater than the 9 regions world. In addition, Night Sorrow also discovered that he could control the Supreme River Space's energy, but it wasn't as effective as it was in the 9 regions world. Night Sorrow knew the reason. The Supreme River Space was a subsidiary world, but the 9 regions origin pearl couldn't contain the origin there. With the 9 regions origin, Night Sorrow easily found the location of the Supreme River Space's death origin. It was still hidden in the Death Lake. As Night Sorrow controlled the 9 regions origin pearl, the death origin stone appeared. Then it approached Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow collected a wisp of origin Qi and put it into his 9 regions origin pearl. The origin stone was the embryonic form of a space world's origin. It would only evolve into an origin pearl after it had a foundation. The Supreme River Space had only been formed recently, so it couldn't withstand the 9 regions origin pearl suppression even though it was in the form of an origin stone. Moreover, it was a subsidiary origin now, so it couldn't resist the will of the 9 regions world's origin. It was free to read Becoming a God with All Tao right away. Chapter 9:16. After collecting a strand of the Supreme River Space's origin energy, Night Sorrow returned it to the Lake of Death, allowing it to develop on its own. A basket of books. At the same time, Night Sorrow learned that the 9-domain origin bead was becoming more and more complete. This was because the 9-domain origin bead now had the laws of life, death, space, and time. In other words, the 9-domain origin bead would be able to give birth to high-grade life forms with these attributes. As for giving birth to supreme nothingness life forms, the chances were very low. After Yi Shang returned to the entrance of the Netherworld spatial passageway, everyone who saw Yi Shang felt a kind of suppression, a kind of innate suppression. No matter who it was, they could all feel it, especially those who were born in the 9 domains world. However, Night Sorrow also felt a kind of rejection from the Netherworld's origin energy. It was normal for the Netherworld to reject the ruler of another world. After checking that everything was normal, Night Sorrow returned to the command tent. The others followed him in. Let me tell everyone a piece of good news. The 9-domain world has been repaired and is currently in the process of recovery and development. After a period of time, the 9-domain world will no longer be a place that any spatial world can casually invade. Anyone who dares to invade will die. Night Sorrow announced to everyone. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, everyone became excited. This meant that they would have a stable backing. The 9-domain world was stable. Don't worry, everyone from the Profound Mysteries realm. The Profound Mysteries realm will be fine. The Supreme River Space and the Profound Mysteries realm are subsidiary worlds of the 9-domain world. You could say that these two worlds are protected by the laws of the 9-domain world. Take the 9-een underworld monarch for example. If she dares to enter the Supreme River Space, I can kill her, Yi Shang said. She's a holy king. Can you kill her? Jun Xuanji asked. I won't hide it from you. Right now, I have the 9-domain origin, so I'm the ruler of the 9-domain world. In other words, within the 9-domain world's laws, let alone a 1-star holy king, I can even fight someone of a higher level, Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow said. There was no need to hide this from others. It could be said that the life forms of the 9-domain world, the Profound Mysteries realm, and the Supreme River Space could not harm Night Sorrow. It could even be said that as long as they had the intention to harm him, Night Sorrow would feel it. That's great. In other words, we now have the ability to deal with and contend against the calamity that will befall us in the next 10,000 years. Long Shenxing said excitedly. Then don't stay here. Go to the Supreme River Space and set up a camp there. That's the safest way, Shen Wenxiu said. Under normal circumstances, a world lord would not easily enter another world. There is almost no danger of dying in their own world. However, if they were to encounter a world lord in another world, there would be danger. However, it does not matter. The Nether Realm does not have a world lord. The strongest is the 9-een Hell King. Night Sorrow said with a smile. After listening to Night Sorrow's words, everyone nodded. Currently, the cultivators in the Nether Realm did not pose much of a threat to Night Sorrow. Everyone continued to guard this place. I still have some things to do. Night Sorrow stood up. Although it was important to resolve the matter in the Nether Realm, the most important thing was that Yi Shang had to make a trip to the Profound Mysteries realm to collect the Profound Mysteries realm's world origin energy. Only then could the 9 regions world's laws spread to the Profound Mysteries realm and protect it. Night Sorrow sat on the teleportation array and was transported to the Profound world. After entering the Profound Mysteries realm, Night Sorrow found the direction of the world origin chi. Night Sorrow used the teleportation array twice and flew for a few hours before arriving at a huge lake. Night Sorrow controlled the 9-domain origin beads to draw out the Profound Mysteries realm's origin chi. Then he collected a strand of the Profound Mysteries realm's origin chi and released the Profound Mysteries realm's origin chi. After accommodating the Profound Mysteries realm's origin chi, the world law of the Profound Mysteries realm changed. In the past, the Profound Mysteries realm was a space of the wind attribute. The world law was also ordinary. This was also the reason why the 9-domain world's origin chi did not suppress each other when the 9-domain world's origin chi shattered. The world law was of a low level. However, this was not the case now. Just like the 9-domain world, it had the protection of the supreme law. Of course, this supreme law was not mature because the 9-domain world's origin chi was still in the process of merging and growing. After collecting the Profound Mysteries realm's origin chi, Night Sorrow returned to the 9-domain world. Night Sorrow felt very at ease. The 9-domain world was safe now. Even if the space was connected to the nine-domain world, the other party could not come in just because they wanted to. After walking around the nine-domain world, Night Sorrow felt a wave of hostility when he arrived at the Qingtian domain. Night Sorrow was very sensitive to this kind of hostile aura. He followed this aura and chased it to a mountain range some distance away from Qingtian city. After entering the mountain range and flying for some distance, Night Sorrow discovered the source of the hostility. It was Jianghu Haitian. Normally, Night Sorrow would not have discovered Jianghu Haitian's cultivation so easily. However, after learning of Night Sorrow's identity and status in the nine-domain world, Jianghu Haitian cursed in dissatisfaction. This made Night Sorrow sense it. Jianghu Haitian, who was only an intermediate saint and had an ordinary attribute, did not stand a chance against Night Sorrow. He was killed by Night Sorrow in 2 moves. After collecting Jianghu Haitian's storage ring, Night Sorrow returned to the spatial channel of the Nether Realm. However, at this time, Night Sorrow's tent and command tent were moved to the Supreme River domain. This was the idea of Long Shenxing Shenwenxiu and the others. That was to say, Night Sorrow's safety was the #1 priority. Setting up a command tent in the Supreme River domain would increase his safety by a lot. Night Sorrow did not object to such a situation. After all, it was for his own good. After sitting down, Night Sorrow explained the situation to the people of the Profound Mysteries realm. After a while, the nine-domain world's origin chi would calm down and they would be able to go through with the certification. Commander, you are now the ruler of the nine-domain world. The Supreme River domain is also under your control. If you can't do it, let the people of the Nether Realm in and kill them, Xiaolanjun said. Xiaolanjun said. Her attitude towards Yishang was very different from before. Her words were filled with respect. Firstly, it was because Night Sorrow's cultivation was very high. He was already a 9-star saint, 2 levels higher than her. Secondly, Night Sorrow's light of virtue lingered behind his head. No one could not disrespect him even if they wanted to. Most importantly, Night Sorrow was the ruler of the nine-domain world. He had the ability to suppress all life forms in the nine-domain world. There is no hurry. How about this? I will go into seclusion and cultivate for a while. When I reach the peak of the Saint Realm, we will talk about how to fight. I don't want to deal with them now, Night Sorrow said. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, everyone was stunned. Only Night Sorrow could say that he did not want to deal with them. However, Night Sorrow had the strength to say this now. One's state of mind determined one's vision. Not everyone could understand Night Sorrow's current state of mind. After chatting with everyone for a while and drinking tea with his parents, Night Sorrow entered the Spacetime Pagoda and began to cultivate in seclusion. He had a lot of room for improvement now. As for the 9 Hades King's strength, he was not worried because he would not be able to improve as fast as him in a short period of time. He wanted to read Becoming a God by Myriad Dao for free. Chapter 9:17. As Night Sorrow cultivated, the nine-domain world changed again. The recombined parts slowly merged together. Blue, the Spacetime Pagoda provided Night Sorrow with a huge amount of pure energy, assisting Night Sorrow in his cultivation. However, Night Sorrow did not cultivate endlessly. After cultivating for a few months, Night Sorrow left the Spacetime Pagoda for a walk. The nine-domain world's origin had already been recombined. The nine-domain world's origin energy body showed Night Sorrow the world from his perspective. Night Sorrow discovered that there were many worlds around the nine-domain world. They were all like bubbles. They were the barriers between the space worlds. Night Sorrow discovered that there were many space worlds around the nine-domain world. The Profound Mysteries realm, Supreme River Space and Nether Realm were closer. The Supreme River Space was the link between the nine-domain world and the Profound Mysteries realm. There was another huge world above these space worlds. And all the other Steel are addition. The nine-domain world's origin energy body told Night Sorrow that it was the Profound Sky world. It was a completely mature world. Space worlds had lifespans and were constantly growing. If they were not damaged or destroyed, their lifespans would be very long. Only a few 100,000 years had passed since the nine-domain world was formed. However, the Profound Sky world had tens of millions of years of development. Feeling the scene transmitted by the nine-domain world's origin energy body, Night Sorrow felt a strong sense of rejection and disgust towards the Profound Sky world. He had the urge to kill his way in. Could be said that the Profound Sky world had always enslaved the nine-domain world. As a life form of the nine-domain world, as the master of the nine-domain world, Night Sorrow felt humiliated. Furthermore, there was the blood feud of the Night family in the Profound Sky world. I will remember the thoughts of the ancestors. If they dare to come again, I will kill them all. Night Sorrow said with clenched fists. Your current strength is not enough. Do you know what the 2 people you killed in the space below the 9-domain world were at their peak? They were at the peak of the Saint King realm, half a step into the Undying realm. In other words, you can fight against a normal Saint King realm opponent, but you are still lacking against a peak Saint King realm opponent. The 9-domain world's origin energy body said to Night Sorrow. Then I'll work hard. Night Sorrow nodded. Originally, the 9 regions origin body didn't know much about this. It was just some general knowledge that he had learned from interacting with Yi Qianhua in the past 10,000 years. My ancestor has regrets in his heart. I will make up for it. Watching my ancestor disappear before my eyes is also my regret. Thinking of Yi Qianhua, Night Sorrow also felt a little emotional. Don't have any regrets in your heart. The clear sky Saint King did not actually disappear. He has already reincarnated. However, this time his soul was too severely injured. I don't know what level of cultivation he has to reach before he can awaken his memories. The 9-region origin body communicated with Night Sorrow. Hearing this news, Night Sorrow was stunned for a moment because it was very shocking to him. In Night Sorrow's heart, vengeance could be slowly avenged and resolved. Staying alive was the most important thing. In addition, Night Sorrow also knew that if a high-level cultivator had a complete soul and chose to reincarnate, it would be very easy for them to regain their memories. However, if the soul was incomplete, it would be much more difficult. The 9 regions origin body told Night Sorrow that Yi Qianhua had his own path and there was no need to look for him. He would definitely awaken his memories. Knowing that Yi Qianhua was still in the world, Night Sorrow felt a lot more at ease. Walking in the 9 regions world's camp, Night Sorrow also resolved another worry. The 9 regions world's war had been ongoing. As the 9 regions world's second strongest force, the assassination hall had not made any moves. This made him feel very uncomfortable. However, at this time, Night Sorrow discovered that there were some people in each camp of the 9 regions world. They had connections with each other. After investigating, Night Sorrow confirmed that they were members of the assassination hall. After thinking for a moment, Night Sorrow smiled. He could understand the situation. The assassination hall was an assassin organization. Naturally, they couldn't reveal their identity. When the 9 regions world needed them, it would be fine as long as they could help. As his soul power enveloped the area, Night Sorrow discovered the leader of the Deathly Division. Night Sorrow was very surprised to see the leader of the assassination hall. It was actually the Yun dynasty's monarch Yun Tianlong. The main members of the assassination hall, as well as a few elders, were all in the Yun dynasty's camp. Although he had discovered them, Night Sorrow didn't plan to ask. The assassination hall was an assassin organization, but it was not without principles. The price for killing evil people was very low, but the price for killing innocent people was also sky high. Moreover, a good person would not be assassinated for no reason. Furthermore, he had been involved in a dispute. There must be a reason for his existence. Walking out of the 9 regions world's camp, Night Sorrow took the teleportation array and arrived at the Saint Hall. At this time, Night Sorrow's aura was restrained. He was just like an ordinary person. When he walked on the street, people would only think that this youth was very handsome and energetic. In the Saint Hall, Night Sorrow accompanied the children to cultivate. Night Sorrow was very happy. Night Sorrow wasn't good at teaching others to cultivate, but he would share his understanding and cultivation experience with the children. In fact, that was enough. The children in the Saint Hall were very clingy to Night Sorrow. With Night Sorrow around, they were also very enthusiastic about their cultivation. The children are very good. At the very least, their mentality is very healthy. The pain caused by the war no longer exists. They are now adopted by the people of Dongshan City. It can be said that they have their own family, Tai Shu Yan said. Whose idea was this? It's very good, Night Sorrow said with a smile. My idea is not bad. Although the main focus isn't here now, I haven't completely let go of it, Jun Xuanji said as he walked over. Well done. These children need to be nurtured. The war destroyed their past, so give them a perfect future, Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow's words were orders. All Tai Shu Yan and Jun Xuanji needed to do was to carry them out. After that, Yi Shang met up with his senior brothers and had a drink together. Others felt pressure in front of Night Sorrow, but Gong Xian, Shi Tianlin and Imo Qin didn't. First of all, they had a deep relationship with each other. Moreover, they hadn't reached the Saint Realm yet. They were all at the peak of the 5th stage. They didn't know how strong Night Sorrow was, so they couldn't understand the pressure other saints and sovereigns felt in front of Night Sorrow. 13th Junior Brother, you are too busy. Even if you are the commander of the 9 regions, you don't need to be so busy. You can arrange things and let others do it, Shi Tianlin said. 8th Junior Brother, don't you know 13th Junior Brother? He either doesn't do it or does it well. Without a sense of responsibility, how can he be a commander of the 9 regions? Gong Xian glanced at Shi Tianlin and said, I don't care what kind of commander 13th Junior Brother is. It's just that I haven't drunk with 13th Junior Brother in a long time, and I'm very unhappy, Shi Tianlin said. This is Junior Brother's fault. In the future, I will try my best to find time to drink with senior brothers, Night Sorrow said with a smile. After drinking, Night Sorrow left. He came out to take a breather and walk around. He still had to work hard to cultivate. After sending off Night Sorrow, Gong Xian brought his junior brothers to the martial arts practice field. Gong Xian had a lot of things to take care of. Shi Tianlin and the others still had to guide the children in their cultivation. Eldest senior brother, what is 13th Junior Brother's cultivation now? It's too frustrating that we can't see it clearly, Imochen said when they arrived at the martial arts practice field. You still want to see my Saint Realm cultivation clearly? You can't even see it clearly, Jun Xuanji said as he looked at Imochen. You can read Myriad Tao Ascension, for free. Chapter 9:18. Haha, there are only a few people who can see the Commander-in-Chief's cultivation. Don't you know that the Commander-in-Chief is the most powerful person in the 9 regions world? Tai Shuyan looked at Gong Xian and the others and asked, What do you mean by the most powerful person? Don't we have many high-level saints in the 9 regions world camp? Shi Tianlin asked. You're all thinking about the child and don't ask about these things. The Commander-in-Chief is a 9-star saint and his combat strength is the strongest in the 9 regions world camp, including the cultivators of the profound mysteries realm. He even killed the Holy King of the Nether Realm, Jun Xuanji said. Jun Xuanji's words stunned Gong Xian and the others. They had not reached the Venerable Realm and the Saint Realm was even further away. They did not understand the level of the Saint Realm. Night Sorrow went to Jiyuan City again. After drinking and chatting with Uncle Nyo and the others, he strolled around Jiyuan City and then saw Qin Qin. Qin Qin opened a small tea house and was the boss. Qin Qin saw Night Sorrow standing in front of the tea house. Come in and sit down. Seeing Night Sorrow, Qin Qin was stunned for a moment and then greeted him. Looking at Qin Qin who had a beard, Night Sorrow was a little surprised because Qin Qin's breath was very stable and he did not seem as excited as when he saw his enemy. Night Sorrow nodded and walked into the tea house. This is my wife. Come and meet her. This is Night Sorrow, the deputy master of the Medicine Valley. Qin Qin called to a woman with a child. The woman with the child came over to greet Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow looked at the child, held him for a while, and then handed him to Qin Qin's wife. Fortunately, you're very calm now. This kind of life is actually very suitable for you, Night Sorrow said. With the 9 regions origin, he could feel that Qin Qin's calmness was not fake. After marrying a wife, especially after having a son, I've gained some insights. I've taken a detour and returned to my original path of life. Marrying a wife, having children and taking care of my family, this is my life. Qin Qin nodded. If there is no hatred in your heart, life will naturally be easy. Seeing you like this, I am still very happy whether you believe it or not, Night Sorrow said. Of course I believe you. I know you quite well. When you see Father Gu, please apologize on my behalf. I was blinded by greed back then. Qin Qin sighed and said, I'll leave this matter to you. When old Gu's father comes back, apologize. You'll feel at ease. Let bygones be bygones. Night Sorrow stood up after saying that. Walking out of Qin Qin's tea house, Night Sorrow felt much better. Qin Qin's current situation was actually the best ending. I don't want to be called Qin Yun. It doesn't sound good. My name is Qian Hua. The child held by Qin Qin shouted. 8 others are all pirated. This shout made Yishang stop in his tracks. Yishang was deeply moved by the name of Qian Hua. Night Sorrow entered the tea house again. Qin Qin, when this child grows up, send him to Medicine Valley or Dongshan City. He should have a different life. I don't want him to become a cultivator. Just be an ordinary person. Qin Qin shook his head. No, you don't understand. He's not destined to be an ordinary person. In a few years I'll send someone to pick him up. Night Sorrow said and then left Qin Qin's tea house. At this time he was almost certain of one thing, that the child was not ordinary. Looking at Night Sorrow's back as he walked on the street, Chin Chin fell into deep thought. Night Sorrow's words conflicted greatly with his original decision, but he understood that as long as Night Sorrow supported him, the child would indeed have a different life. Gong Xian and the others had been teaching the child and did not know much about some things, but Chin Chin knew a lot. He ran a tea house and many cultivators came to the tea house every day. The cultivators talked and most of the time they talked about Night Sorrow, so Chin Chin knew about Night Sorrow's current identity and status. Night Sorrow walked on the street, the child's figure still in his mind. You still found out. The voice of the 9 domains origin body sounded in Night Sorrow's mind. It seems that my judgment was right. Night Sorrow communicated with the 9 domains origin body. The 9 domains origin body did not speak again. After returning to the spatial passage, Night Sorrow went to Yi Wuyo and his wife's tent. Son, you're back after a round. Yu Qing nodded to her son and got up to make tea. Father, I have something that I need Night Moon to do, Night Sorrow said. Okay, go ahead. Yi Wuyo nodded. Send 2 Night Moon's venerables to Zhuyuan City to protect a family named Chin Chin, especially the child and their family. This is very important to our Night Moon dynasty. There must be no mistakes, Night Sorrow said. Chin Chin, isn't he the one who harmed you? Yu Qing was stunned for a moment and said, Why are you saying so much? There must be a reason for our son to do this. Yi Wuyo glanced at his wife and said, Father, Mother, this matter is very important. I have a reason for making this arrangement. Night Sorrow said. As for the reason, he did not want to say it. Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing nodded. Yu Qing was surprised to hear Chin Chen's name, but then she understood that Night Sorrow would not make such arrangements for no reason. After drinking tea with his parents and chatting with Wu Lingfei for a while, Night Sorrow passed through the spatial passage and checked the situation outside the array. 9 Dark King was still cultivating in the tent. This let Night Sorrow know that the tense atmosphere was still in the nether realm. They did not dare to relax. While Night Sorrow was investigating, 9 Dark King also opened her eyes. She was now in the Saint King realm and was very sensitive to auras. She could naturally sense Night Sorrow's investigation. When 9 Dark King walked out of the command tent, Night Sorrow had already left the array. 9 Dark King, what's going on? 8 Hell Kings and 7 Fiends King came to 9 Dark King's side. 9 Domain Commander Night Sorrow just appeared. He's already a 9-star saint and his aura is very strong. When he was an 8-star saint, he was not at a disadvantage when fighting this king. Now that he's a 9-star saint, why didn't he fight? 9 Dark King asked. That's not a good thing. He's not in a hurry and isn't afraid of stalling for time. That means he's certain that there's something we don't know, 8 Hell King said. Yes, he's a cultivation genius. He's already a 9-star saint, but there's still room for improvement. That's why he chose to fight in his strongest state for a short period of time. Moreover, he's certain that his improvement will be greater than this king's. 9 Dark King narrowed his eyes as he looked at the array at the spatial passage. 8 Hell Kings and 7 Fiends King were also somewhat helpless. The situation was too passive. The 9 Domain World side had taken the initiative with just one array. This king can't break the array either. It's a combination of 2 Grandmaster composite arrays. This king can break one of them, but this king has searched through all the ancient records on array formations. There's no record of it, said 9 Dark King. But if we don't solve the array formation, we'll always be passive, said 7 Fiends King. Try the violent godworm. See if it can blow up the array formation, said 8 Hell King. That'll also cause us great damage, said 7 Fiends King. If we break the array, 9 Dark King will be able to kill them all and change the situation. We'll have to endure the losses, said 8 Hell King. Download Myriad Daos Become Gods for free. Chapter 919. The violent god worm was a very domineering creature in the nether realm. Other creatures had to avoid it because it had an unyielding temperament. It would drill into the body of other creatures and devour their blood essence. After devouring, it would self-destruct. It was very powerful. Blue, let's do it this way. 7 Fiends King, go to the army and find 50 high-level venerables to bring back the violent god worms. 9 King thought for a moment and said, 50 venerables, but we will lose the foundation of the nether realm. 7 Fiends King hesitated. There's no other way. This king doesn't want to see such a loss. But if we don't deal with this formation, we will become more and more passive. Also, we can't be sure if the bottleneck of the Saint King realm will be blocked by Night Sorrow. This king's bone age is only a little over 30. This is too terrifying. 9 King said. 7 Fiends King nodded and went to make the arrangements. After everything was settled, Night Sorrow returned to the Spacetime Pagoda to cultivate. Everything in the 9 regions world was proceeding in an orderly manner. Yi Wuyo arranged for 2 venerables of Night Moon to go to Zhuyuan City to protect Chen Chen's family. In fact, the Medicine Valley was very harmonious now. Generally, there were very few conflicts between cultivators. Night Sorrow made such arrangements because he was worried that something might go wrong. As time passed, Night Sorrow's cultivation increased steadily. The Heavenly Fate Pearl of Nihility had evolved into the 9 regions Origin Pearl, which was compatible with Night Sorrow's life source. It gave him some insights and improved his state of mind a lot. On this day, Yun Tianlong, Long Xianxing, and the others were drinking tea in the command tent of the Nether Realm at the entrance of the space passage. Then, there was a series of explosions in the formation. Then, the formation began to loosen. The formation is about to be broken. Informed the commander. Everyone else, retreat to the entrance of the space passage. Long Xianxing looked at the unstable formation and shouted. Yun Tianlong was the deputy commander. He had Night Sorrow's communication crystal in his hand. He directly crushed it and then led some people stationed at the entrance of the space passage to the Supreme River space. Sensing that the communication crystal had cracked, Night Sorrow, who had already cultivated to Midnight Star Saint, flashed out of the Spacetime Pagoda. Commander, the array outside the spatial passageway is loosening. It's about to be broken. Yun Tianlong reported the situation when he saw Night Sorrow appear. It doesn't matter if it's broken. Everyone within 10 miles of the spatial tunnel, retreat 10 miles away. Then, attack that ancient tree and activate the second formation. Night Sorrow instructed as he entered the spatial passageway and arrived at the Netherworld. He wanted to see how the Heavenly Cycle Grand Array and the Thousand Derivation Illusory Formation were broken. Night Sorrow arrived in front of the array formation, and it just so happened to be the Netherworld realm. In the end, the 5 supremacies whose bodies were filled with violent divine worms charged into the array formation and self-destructed. Too strong. Night Sorrow couldn't help but say that the self-destruction of these supremacies from the Netherworld realm was too violent. The array formation had already been destroyed. The main thing was that they didn't give the array foundation spirit stone enough time to maintain the stability of the array formation. Since the array formation had already been broken, Night Sorrow didn't hesitate and directly left the spatial passageway. He had to stabilize the situation first. Besides, it didn't matter to him if the array formation was broken. As long as the 9 Dark King and the others entered the Supreme River space, it was equivalent to entering his home ground. At this time, Yun Tianlong had already activated the Thousand Derivation Killing Array. Everyone was stationed outside the array formation. Long Xianxing, Sky Underworld Saint, Shang Luo, and Xiaolanjun stood in front of the array formation. Xian Wenxiu stayed in the Saint Hall and didn't come over. However, someone had already informed him. Night Sorrow was very satisfied with this reaction speed. He then returned to the spatial passageway to check on the situation. When Night Sorrow returned to the spatial passageway, the 9 Dark King and the others had already led their people through the array formation and were approaching the spatial passageway. Seeing Night Sorrow appear, the 9 Dark King waved his battle blade and charged towards Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow didn't fight and directly retreated into the spatial passageway. He wanted to see what kind of methods the other party had to send supremacies to self-destruct the Thousand Derivation Killing Array. In the Netherworld realm, if those supremacies wanted to self-destruct, Night Sorrow really couldn't do anything. Because the laws of the Netherworld realm rejected him, he didn't have any good methods. However, it was different in the Supreme River space. After Night Sorrow took away a strand of the origin chi of the Supreme River space, this place was completely a subsidiary space of the 9-domain world. It was Night Sorrow's home ground. Night Sorrow was the ruler of the 9-domain world. In addition to his strength as a 9-star saint, it was very easy for him to suppress supremacies. The supremacies didn't even have the chance to self-destruct. Moreover, Night Sorrow knew that the Netherworld realm was the one who was anxious. This was because the Netherworld realm was worried that Night Sorrow would continue to set up the array formation and cancel out the effects of their array formation. More seeing Night Sorrow retreat, Dark King 9 didn't lead her people to attack. This was because she knew that Night Sorrow was proficient in battle planning. It was impossible that he didn't have a backup plan just because one array formation was broken. Everyone else stabilized the camp. 8 Hell Kings, 7 Fiend King, and this king will go in and kill, Dark King Nine shouted. Although she was worried about an ambush, Dark King Nine had to disrupt Night Sorrow's formation. She was afraid that Night Sorrow would continue to set up the array formation. In addition, she was a Saint King. She wasn't afraid of some dangers that targeted her. Even if there was an array formation, she could still retreat carefully. When Dark King Nine rushed to the spatial passageway, her body was greatly obstructed. It could even be said that 8 Hell Kings and 7 Fiend King couldn't charge forward. Dark King Nine waved her sleeve and wrapped the two of them into the spatial passageway. After rushing out of the spatial passageway and seeing Night Sorrow, Dark King Nine shouted to 8 Hell Kings and 7 Fiend King, "Block the others and buy some time for this king." After giving the order, Dark King Nine's body flashed. Her original body and avatar charged towards Night Sorrow. She now felt that Night Sorrow was a threat. Getting rid of Night Sorrow was the most important thing. The energy in Night Sorrow's body surged. His avatar holding the space-splitting spear also appeared beside him. The 8-dragon cauldron was already protecting the avatar. Night Sorrow knew that this would be the strongest battle in his cultivation life. At this time, Dark King Nine's cultivation was close to the peak of 1-star Saint King late stage. The avatar had 70% of the original body's strength. That was also very terrifying. When Long Xianxing and the others were about to support Night Sorrow, 8 Hell Kings and 7 Fiend King also moved. The energy in 8 Hell King's body surged. The ancient hell tree with a human face appeared. That was his original body. Then he and 7 Fiend King blocked Long Xianxing and the others. Seeing that the Netherworld ancient tree was releasing the Netherworld poison gas, Long Xianxing immediately used his chaotic space. 8 Hell King's original body's movement speed was slow. Thus he was trapped by Long Xuanxing's chaotic space. Sky Underworld Saint fought with 7 Fiend King. Shang Luo and Xialanjun suppressed 8 Hell King's avatar. Sky Underworld Saint's strength was slightly weaker than 7 Fiend King. Although he was suppressed by 7 Fiend King, he would not be defeated in a short period of time. However, 8 Hell King's avatar was in danger. His avatar only had 70% of the original body's strength. Being attacked by Shang Luo and Xialanjun together, he was immediately in danger. Night Sorrow brought his avatar and fought with 9 King's original body and avatar. As the battle started, 9 King's face turned ugly. Download Myriad Dao Ascension for free. Chapter 920. As soon as the battle started, Dark Monarch 9 felt suppressed. It was the suppression of the space origin energy, which made her very uncomfortable. Her strength was also suppressed by 20%. Night Sorrow's clone had 90% of his strength. In addition, he had the mid-grade sacred treasure, the Dragon Cauldron, and the high-grade sacred treasure, the Space Splitter Spear, which had extremely strong attack power. He directly suppressed Dark Monarch 9's soul clone. As for the battle between the main body, Dark Monarch 9 was also at a disadvantage. Night Sorrow could control the laws of heaven and earth to suppress her, making her unable to use her strength. On the other hand, Night Sorrow's speed had reached an extreme level. The 9-domain origin pearl in Night Sorrow's spirit sea contained the Supreme River's space origin energy. Therefore, the Supreme River's space was compatible with him. The resistance of Night Sorrow's body was much smaller. Dark Monarch 9 roared as she was continuously sent flying by Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear. "You're really ruthless to be recognized by the Supreme River's space origin. Don't talk about this. It's meaningless. Today, let's settle this between the 9-domain world and the Netherworld realm." Night Sorrow kept attacking with his spear, suppressing Dark Monarch 9 step by step. As the battle continued, the sound of energy colliding continuously rang out. Dark Monarch 9 became more and more passive. Her cultivation was profound, and her true energy was much more vigorous than Night Sorrow's. However, Night Sorrow's body was tyrannical. His body alone was comparable to a peak saint. When his true energy and body energy combined, Dark Monarch 9 was no match for him. Dark Monarch 9 did not want to be at a disadvantage in a head-on clash. However, she was not as fast as Night Sorrow. If she did not fight head-on, Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear would make countless holes in her body. At this moment, outside the 1000 amplification killing array, Shen Wenxiu was anxiously pacing back and forth. Besides Night Sorrow, no one else could enter the 1000 amplification killing array. Shen Wenxiu had rushed over, but he could not help. Just as Xian Wenxiu was getting anxious, Night Sorrow's voice sounded, "Sage Xian, follow the energy fluctuations of the array and move forward." Nine Dark King couldn't know what was going on behind the array, but Night Sorrow could. When Xian Wenxiu arrived at Night Sorrow, Xian Wenxiu had already known. Therefore, Nine Dark King guided Xian Wenxiu through sound transmission while controlling the array's energy fluctuation with his soul power. Seeing Xian Wenxiu rushing towards him, Night Sorrow shouted, "Cooperate with Long Xianxing and kill the opponent." Whether it was Night Sorrow's original body or his doppelganger, they both had the upper hand. Even if he was at a disadvantage, Xian Wenxiu would not be of much help. On the other hand, if Xian Wenxiu was attacked by the Nine Pluto, he would be in trouble. At this time, Xian Wenxiu also understood the situation and took on Heavenly Underworld Saint's opponent, Seven Fiends King. Heavenly Underworld Saint went to Long Xuanxing's side and continuously shot out sword chi into the chaotic space, attacking the Netherworld ancient tree that had fused with Hell King's true body. With the addition of Xian Wenxiu, the various groups of the 9 regions world had the absolute upper hand. Victory was only a matter of time. Hell King's original body was getting weaker and weaker. After being attacked by Long Xuanxing's chaotic space, his energy was greatly depleted. Coupled with Heavenly Underworld Saint's sword chi attacks, he could not hold on any longer. He constantly let out terrifying roars and struggled violently. However, he was still unable to break free from Long Xuanxing's chaotic space control. Hell King's doppelganger was also injured. Shang Luo and Xiaolanjun attacked together, and his doppelganger, which only had 70% of his original body strength, could not hold on any longer. Nine Pluto's original body was slightly better. Although he was in a sorry state, he could still protect himself temporarily. However, his doppelganger could not. Nine Pluto's original body was not as strong as Night Sorrow's original body, but the difference was not huge. However, her doppelganger only had 70% of the original body's strength while Night Sorrow's doppelganger had 90% of the original body's strength. The difference was very obvious. In addition, Night Sorrow's doppelganger had 2 saint treasures. With the Dragon Cauldron's protection, he did not need to worry about defense. Her doppelganger could not hold on any longer and was about to be killed. This made Nine Pluto's original body anxious. She wanted to help her doppelganger. Even if it was a 2-on-2 battle, she was willing to help. However, this was only her wishful thinking. Night Sorrow's innate bloodline energy shield was constantly slicing through space. Its speed had reached a limit, suppressing her original body. She did not have the chance to help her doppelganger. After suppressing Nine Pluto's original body, Night Sorrow's original body and doppelganger executed the soul extinguishing slash at the same time, killing towards Nine Pluto's doppelganger. First kill Nine Pluto's doppelganger, then kill the original body. This was Night Sorrow's tactic. After destroying Nine Pluto's doppelganger, the doppelganger would come over to help, and it would be much easier to kill Nine Pluto's original body. Nine Pluto's doppelganger dodged Night Sorrow's doppelganger's soul extinguishing slash. However, Night Sorrow's original body used the soul extinguishing slash to cut into his divine sea. Nine Pluto's doppelganger's divine sea was attacked. When he retreated to avoid Night Sorrow's doppelganger's attack, he used Netherworld Energy Explosion. This was an attack that consumed a lot of energy. However, Night Sorrow's doppelganger, who had the Dragon Cauldron's protection, did not care about this. He charged forward, enduring the 2 explosions, and stabbed the Space Splitter Spear into Nine Pluto's doppelganger's chest. After severely injuring Nine Pluto's doppelganger, Night Sorrow's doppelganger rushed forward, not giving Nine Pluto's doppelganger a chance to escape. Then the Space Splitter Spear continued to vibrate, destroying the inside of Nine Pluto's doppelganger. When Nine Pluto's doppelganger's insides were destroyed, its energy could not keep up. When its combat power dropped, Night Sorrow's doppelganger swung the Space Splitter Spear again, cutting off Nine Pluto's doppelganger's head and killing it. "Damn it! This king will definitely kill you. I'll grind your bones to dust." Nine Pluto's eyes were bloodshot now that her doppelganger had been destroyed. She desperately fought Night Sorrow, but she was still at a disadvantage. First attack. At this time, Night Sorrow's doppelganger also charged over. He wanted to help his original body kill Nine Pluto. Explode. Nine Pluto saw Night Sorrow's doppelganger charge over. She waved her golden sleeve, and corpses wearing blood-red battle robes appeared one after another. These corpses flew toward Night Sorrow's original body and doppelganger. Furthermore, they self-destructed one after another. The power of their self-destruction was extremely strong. Night Sorrow's original body and doppelganger couldn't withstand such a powerful self-destruction. This gave Nine Pluto an opportunity. Her body flashed as she flew toward the spatial channel. At the same time, she continuously threw out these blood-red battle-robed corpses. These corpses could fight and self-destruct. They blocked Night Sorrow's path. This was Nine Pluto's life-saving trump card, the Blood Map Corpse King. It was refined using the Blood Map Secret Codex. It was extremely powerful. Yi Sorrow dodged the Blood Map Corpse King's attacks and self-destruction as he chased after the spatial tunnel. He didn't want to let Dark Monarch Nine escape. As long as he killed Dark Monarch Nine, the War of the Two Worlds would be over. Night Sorrow chased out of the spatial channel. What welcomed Night Sorrow was the self-destruction of the Blood Map Death Guards. More than 20 Blood Map Death Guards blocked the spatial channel and self-destructed at the same time. Nine Pluto had charged through the spatial channel and entered the Nether Realm's camp. She had used her energy to wrap the Blood Map Death Guards and send them over. She was now asking for a chance to live. Speak. Chapter 921. This wave of explosion was very intense. When Night Sorrow dodged, Nine Dark King rushed past the Netherworld army. Everyone returned to the Netherworld. Run. Under the influence of the fleeing figures of the Netherworld army, Nine Dark King's fleeing figure was not that obvious. Standing in front of the command tent of the Netherworld army, Night Sorrow scanned his surroundings but did not see Nine Dark King's figure. Night Sorrow knew that this was a mistake in his arrangements. He should have set up an ambush at the entrance of the spatial tunnel to prevent Nine Dark King from escaping. Night Sorrow did not kill the fleeing Netherworld army because there was no need. Other than Nine Dark King, no one else could change the situation of the Netherworld army. After taking another glance, Night Sorrow returned to the entrance of the spatial tunnel. He then left his soul avatar to block the path while he charged towards Seven Fiends King. Prison King's original body and soul avatar could not hold on any longer. It would only take a moment for them to be killed. Only Seven Fiends King was still jumping around happily. Once Night Sorrow used his law suppression, Seven Fiends King could not hold on any longer. Night Sorrow blasted his spear twice and sent his weapon flying. Then the reincarnation spear pierced Seven Fiends King's chest. The energy emitted by the reincarnation spear directly blasted into his spirit sea, interrupting Seven Fiends King's self-destruction. Then Night Sorrow's right arm shook and the reincarnation spear pierced Seven Fiends King's head once more. At this time, Shang Luo and Xiaolanjun also finished off Prison King's soul avatar. You guys are ruthless enough. However, Nine Dark King's strength will increase very soon. Just wait for your deaths. Prison King's aura weakened after being killed by Long Xuanqing's chaotic space and attacked by the heavenly underworld sword Qi. You would not be able to hold on for long. Once her strength increases, we will just wait for our deaths. You are thinking too much. Go and die. Night Sorrow waved his reincarnation spear and followed up with a void extreme kill. He passed through Long Xuanqing's chaotic space and directly stabbed the face of the Netherworld ancient tree. After being struck by Night Sorrow's spear, the Hell King let out a blood-curdling scream. Not only had Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear destroyed a part of his body, but it had also attacked his soul. When his soul was attacked, the Prison King's defense dropped, and a part of his body was destroyed by Long Xuanqing's chaotic space. Our look at the original chapter, however, Night Sorrow wasn't done with just one shot. He shook his right arm and fired 3 consecutive shots. After fusing with the ancient Netherworld tree, the Hell King's physical defense was very high, but his soul was still at its original level. After being stabbed 3 times by Night Sorrow, his soul was destroyed. With its soul destroyed, the body of the ancient Netherworld tree was naturally destroyed by Long Xuanqing's chaotic space. Commander, let's kill our way over, Long Xuanqing said. There's no need to rush this matter. We need to sit down and discuss it. Night Sorrow went over and stopped the 1,000 multiplication killing formation. Leaving his soul avatar at the entrance of the spatial tunnel to observe the situation, Night Sorrow led everyone into the command tent. Commander, what's the current situation? Yin Tianlong asked. The only Nether King left in the Nether Realm is the Nine Nether King. Today I killed her soul avatar, but her main body escaped. The Hell King's main body and avatar are both dead, and the Seven Fiend King's soul avatar was destroyed last time. This time, it was the main body that was destroyed. There's no doubt about that, said Night Sorrow. That means we can occupy the Nether Realm, said Xiaolanjun somewhat happily. Night Sorrow pondered but didn't say anything. He still had some misgivings in his heart. Commander, just give the order. We'll kill our way in and directly occupy the Nether Realm, said Jun Xuanji. Then let me ask you something. If we take over the Nether Realm and the 90 Nether King comes out to kill us, who can stop a late-stage 1-star Saint King? How many people do we have for her to assassinate us? So let's not talk about taking over the Nether Realm for now. Yi Shang glanced at Jun Xuanji and voiced his concerns. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, no one in the command tent said anything. That was because Night Sorrow's words were true. If the 9 regions world occupied the Nether Realm, then the problem of the 90 Nether King would not be solved. The higher-ups of the 9 regions world would not be enough for the 90 Nether King to kill. Our original intention was to resolve the crisis of the Nether Realm's attack on the 9 regions world. Now that the crisis has been completely resolved, the next step is to deal with the aftermath. I don't want to be stuck in a quagmire after resolving this problem, said Night Sorrow after thinking for a moment. That's indeed the case. The war can be said to have been won, but we have to be careful when dealing with the aftermath. Xian Wenxiu nodded. Commander, what do you think? Xiaolanjun looked at Night Sorrow. Activate the Grand Cycle Formation and the Thousand Derivation Illusory Formation. After everyone leaves, I'll activate the Thousand Derivation Killing Formation as well. First, we'll set up a defense. Then we'll send our people back to recuperate. After cultivating for a while, I'll go to the Nether Realm. I definitely have to deal with this 90 Nether King, said Night Sorrow. Then don't go. It's too dangerous, said Tai Shu Yen. The 9 regions world's laws still need time to develop. During this time, the 90 Nether King will be in great danger. It won't be easy for her to kill me. Right now, I have a soul clone to assist me in battle. Her soul clone has been destroyed, so the gap between us has widened, said Night Sorrow. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, everyone nodded. That was because Night Sorrow's combat power had already surpassed the 90 Nether Kings. Even if Night Sorrow appeared in the Nether Realm, the 90 Nether King might not dare to appear. Then Xian Wenxiu placed the storage ring and long sword of the 7 Fiends King in front of Night Sorrow. What are you doing? I just added a few more moves. Night Sorrow shook his head. If you don't support the 90 Nether King, we won't have a chance to win. If you don't help, it'll be difficult for me to kill him. My old face isn't that thick. Besides, setting up the formation requires a lot of spirit stones. The consumption of the commander is also relatively large. Xian Wenxiu smiled and insisted on his opinion. Long Xianxing also took out the Prison King's storage ring. Although everyone killed the Prison King together, the main credit was given to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow thought for a moment. He knew that Long Xianxing and Xian Wenxiu wouldn't accept the battle resources. So he gave the storage ring to Tai Shu Yen and said, "Give me some high-grade spirit stones later. The rest will be used to fill up the storage of the commander's residence." Tai Shu Yen thought for a moment and nodded. Then everyone dispersed. They all had things to do, such as withdrawing their troops and many other things. After leaving the commander's tent, Night Sorrow called out to Yun Tianlong and brought him through the space passage. "Commander, is this damaged formation easy to repair?" Yun Tianlong asked as he looked at Night Sorrow inspecting the damaged formation. "It's nothing much. An area was shattered. Repairing it will just consume some spirit stones." Night Sorrow inspected the formation while starting to repair it. Yun Tianlong followed beside Night Sorrow and also looked at the surrounding situation. After a moment, Tai Shu Yen gave Night Sorrow a storage ring because Night Sorrow used his own spirit stones to set up the formation. After delivering the storage ring, Tai Shu Yen went back. She was relatively busy. "King Yun, when the assassination hall accepts a mission, if the target's virtue is not lacking, then don't accept it. Otherwise it will hurt the assassination hall's luck, and there won't be any benefits," Night Sorrow said while setting up the formation. "Speak." Chapter 922. "Oh, Commander, you know about it?" Yun Tianlong looked at Night Sorrow in surprise. Q** original initials. Z**, yes. I've been thinking about this for a while. Although they exist for a reason, it's not appropriate to assassinate people without morals, said Night Sorrow. Subordinate understands. When I return, I'll talk to the elders about this. I hope Commander won't reject the assassination hall. Yun Tianlong cupped his fists towards Night Sorrow. Previously, I did have a problem with the Assassination Hall. As the second largest force in the Nine Regions world, they didn't stand up when the Nine Regions world needed them. But after I learned about it, I felt relieved. I don't reject them. Night Sorrow shook his head. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Yun Tianlong let out a sigh of relief. Although the Assassination Hall can't be exposed, they still have a bottom line. This king will emphasize it again when we return. Night Sorrow nodded. He had brought Yun Tianlong over just to remind him of this matter. After 2 hours, Night Sorrow activated the array, once again cutting off the path from the Nether Realm to the Supreme River space. Clapping his hands, Night Sorrow returned to the spatial channel. The people in the command tent were still there. Everyone had already given their orders. Has the array been repaired? Asked Wu Lingfei. It's been repaired. Unless the Nether Realm explodes a few dozen more venerables, they won't be able to enter the Supreme River space, said Night Sorrow. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, everyone nodded. This was the result they wanted. Commander, what do you plan to do next? Asked Xiaolanjun. Don't worry about what's going on here. Those who should return, return. Those who should cultivate, go cultivate. All the saints should leave their messaging crystals in the commander's residence. Someone must be on duty at all times. The operations of the 9 domain worlds and the profound mysteries realm must be managed by someone. There can't be any chaos, Yishan said. It was also an order. Everyone bowed. They all knew that this would be a period of stability. Of course, it could also be the calm before the storm. Commander, we've obtained a lot of saint crystals from our battles. What should we do with them? Lu Qin asked. Give it to the venerables with the highest cultivation and distribute it according to their attributes. Don't hoard the weapons we obtained. Distribute them to increase the overall strength of our 2 worlds. Those who contribute to the war will have priority. Night Sorrow looked at Lu Qin and said. He knew that Lu Qin was the vice hall leader of the Assassination Hall, but he didn't mind. After Night Sorrow gave the order, he went to the God-slaying team's campsite to have a drink with the people close to him. The others had already retreated. Captain, if you want to go to the Nether Realm, then bring us along. During this period of time, everyone should work hard to cultivate. We need to accumulate some experience through actual combat. We also need to accumulate some resources for our god-slaying team, said Nan Liyue. She was now a 3rd-level venerable. After entering the Spacetime Treasure Pagoda to speed up time cultivation, the cultivation of the members of the god-slaying team increased very quickly. More than half of them were already supremacies. Father will accompany you, Yi Wuyo said. Yu Qing also said that she wanted to follow. She was worried about her son and wanted to stay by Night Sorrow's side. Father, mother, take my sister to the city in the sky to rest for a while. I'm now a 9-star saint. There's nothing that can threaten me, Night Sorrow said with a smile. He naturally knew that his parents were worried about his safety. After that, Wu Lingfei also told Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing not to worry because she planned to go with Night Sorrow. Good. With Territory Lord Wu going with you, mother can be at ease. Come back soon. Once we return, we will prepare for your wedding. You can't refuse any more, said Yu Qing. Okay, I won't refuse. Night Sorrow smiled and nodded. He had already delayed it for a long time. He also needed to give Sikong Chuyu, Yang Lei, and Alwei an official identity. While Night Sorrow was drinking and chatting with the people around him, in an underground hall of Sky-bearing City, Yun Tianlong was sitting in the main seat. Lu Qin was sitting to the side, and the elders of the Assassination Hall were all present. Some of the rules of the Assassination Hall need to be changed, said Yun Tianlong. Hall Master, is there a problem? Asked Elder Mu Yuenting. The commander already knows about the situation of the Assassination Hall. Today he called me alone to talk. He hopes that when we assassinate our targets, we won't accept the assassination, said Yun Tianlong. The commander actually knows? Said Grand Elder Wu Tianhe with some surprise. The commander is the ruler of the 9 regions world. Nothing can be hidden from him. We'll just do as he says. Furthermore, the commander's words are very reasonable. Killing targets without morals will harm our Assassination Hall's karmic luck, said Yun Tianlong. From what you're saying, my identity has been exposed as well. Lu Qin looked at Yun Tianlong with some surprise. Don't count your chickens before they hatch. I think it's very secretive. Since you've been exposed, there's no way you won't be exposed. Our people should have been exposed this time. However, the commander didn't have any intentions of targeting us. But we can't cross the line in his heart, said Yun Tianlong. Hearing Yun Tianlong's words, everyone nodded. Everyone knew that Yishan's bottom line couldn't be touched. Last time we were tricked by Jianghu. We had to assassinate the commander. That was too much of a trap. Fortunately, the commander was magnanimous. Otherwise, with just a word from him, our assassination hall would have ceased to exist, sighed Wu Tianhe. I'll talk to the commander some other day, said Lu Qin. If no one has any objections, then it's settled. We also need to make some contributions to the 9 regions world. If the target is evil, we'll kill them even if it's just a piece of silver. If the target has no morals, we won't accept it even if it's a sky-high price, said Yun Tianlong. Everyone in the assassination hall cupped their hands and accepted the order. You don't know, but when the commander told me about this, I was under a lot of pressure. It was like I was being judged, said Yun Tianlong. That's true. The commander's aura was too strong. Even I didn't dare to speak carelessly in front of him, said Lu Qin. After that, everyone in the hall dispersed. They all belonged to different forces. They only gathered together when something happened. After Night Sorrow sent his parents to the spatial passageway where the medicinal valley was, he returned to the campsite and put the god-slaying squad and Wu Lingfei into the pagoda of time and space. Then he passed through the spatial passageway and teleported to the teleportation formation that the Nether Realm's troops hadn't been able to destroy in time. One day later, Night Sorrow led the god-slaying squad into the Nether Realm's cities. At this time, the Nether Realm no longer had a ruling class. Some cities were under the control of families and sections. When they saw Night Sorrow and the others, the Nether Realm's people avoided them directly. They didn't fight at all. Speak. Chapter 923. After taking care of a few city lord mansions that had not been robbed, Yishang knew that it would be very difficult for the Nether Realm to recover for a period of time. The main reason was that the high-level cultivators had been slaughtered too ruthlessly. There were only a few saints left. I thought I could sense the Nether Realm's origin, but the Nether Realm isn't under the rule of the 9 domains world. It's not a subsidiary world, so I can't find the origin, Night Sorrow said to Wu Lingfei. We haven't occupied it, so the Nether Realm isn't a subsidiary of the 9 domains world. Wu Lingfei nodded. Right, Auntie Fei, the departure of Dongshuan's origin didn't harm you in any way, did it? Night Sorrow thought of a more important question. No. Although the origin left my body, it left behind a large strand of origin qi. Auntie Fei is still Dongshuan's master, but it's nothing in front of you, the master of the 9 domains world, said Wu Lingfei. Auntie Fei, don't joke around, Night Sorrow said a little embarrassedly. Be careful in the future. I can't sense the profound jade qi in your body anymore, Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Last time when I faced the lightning tribulation, it wanted to annihilate the profound jade qi. I couldn't bear to part with it, so I used my hands to refine it. Night Sorrow said a little embarrassedly. Wu Lingfei had told him not to refine the profound jade qi in the past. It's fine. You're strong now, so Auntie Fei isn't worried. But you still have to be careful, said Wu Lingfei. Night Sorrow smiled. He knew that this was Wu Lingfei. No matter how strong he was, she was still worried about his safety. Night Sorrow led the god-slaying squad around the Nether Realm, ransacking the more important cities, but there was still no news of the 9 Dark King. Night Sorrow didn't plan on continuing to cause trouble. The 9 Dark King didn't care about these things right now. He was probably hiding and cultivating. The Nether Realm was no smaller than the 9 domain world, so if the 9 underworld monarch wanted to hide, Night Sorrow wouldn't be able to find him. There was nothing he could do about it. After raiding the largest city, Nether City's City Lord Mansion, Night Sorrow led his men back to the spatial tunnel. He then returned to 9 domain world and arrived at Sky City. The few saints were all staying in the city in the sky. They didn't have much to do. The city in the sky had a beautiful environment, and it was also suitable for cultivating one's body and mind and strengthening one's mental state. When Night Sorrow returned, everyone felt a lot more at ease. We should leave some people at the entrance of the spatial passage to keep an eye on it. Otherwise we won't even know when they break the array. Long Xianxing said. My soul avatar is guarding the array formation. Furthermore, I've left a communication crystal in the array formation. Even if my avatar isn't there, I'll be the first to know if the array formation is broken, said Yishan. You're experienced in doing things, so there's nothing for us to worry about. You should rest well for a while. You've been working hard during this period. Xiaolanjun said. Night Sorrow smiled and nodded. He also wanted to relax. Recently, he had been cultivating and fighting under high pressure. It was unrealistic to say that he wasn't tired. In addition, your father and your mother went to the Medicine Valley and the Sikong family to set the date for your wedding. It's 2 months later on the 15th day of the month. Wuyo said. Father and mother will have to work hard for this. I don't know much about it either. Night Sorrow said. Hihi, this is a big matter. When the time comes, many people will come. I'm afraid the city in the sky will be too busy. If not, we can change the location. Xiaolanjun said. In Night Moon City, Night Sorrow is the young master of Night Moon and the successor of Night Moon. It's suitable for Night Moon City. Wuyo said. No one had any objections because this was Night Moon's family matter. After staying with everyone for a while, Night Sorrow brought the girls to the lake. Then he set up the Spacetime Pagoda there. In the future, the Spacetime Pagoda will be set up here. If you have any problems, you can communicate with Little Kong. You can go in and out at any time. You can also choose one of the 60th to 69th floors as your room. Night Sorrow said to Sikong Chuyu and the others. Then can you leave a place for Aunt Fei? Wu Lingfei asked. Of course, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Next, Wu Lingfei, Shueshi, Sikong Chuyu, and the others went to the wooden boat to make tea and chat. Night Sorrow stood in front of the lake, studying the map he had obtained in Nether City. Then he saw an area. Nether Abyss. Nether Abyss was a special area in Nether Realm. It was a bottomless abyss. The nether energy there was very dense and ordinary life forms could not get close. Night Sorrow felt that the source of Nether Realm should be there. However, he could not enter it. The death attribute was a high-level attribute, and the nether energy was the pinnacle of the darkness attribute. It was very harmful to him. In addition, Night Sorrow felt that Hades 9 Yin might be there as well. Hades 9 Yin's existence was not a big problem for Night Sorrow. In a short time, Hades 9 Yin would not be his match. If Hades 9 Yin spent time cultivating, her cultivation would increase. However, by then, the laws of the 9 Domains world would be complete. She would not be able to enter the 9 Domains world. She would not even be able to enter the Supreme River space. It was just like how Wu Lingfei and the others had tried to enter the Supreme River space. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow put the map into his storage ring and stood by the lake with his hands behind his back. At this time, Night Sorrow did not have the spear behind him. Under the guidance of the 9 Domains origin body, the reincarnation spear was put into Night Sorrow's dantian. He used his quintessential chi and laws to nourish it. The space-splitting spear was the same. It was also in Night Sorrow's clone. At this time, Yi Wuyo came to Night Sorrow's side. Night Sorrow accompanied him for a walk by the lake. I've sent 2 venerables of Night Moon to the Medicine Valley area. There's no problem with the safety of that family, Yi Wuyo said. Father, if you want to know the reason, I'll tell you. However, this matter is very important. Then Night Sorrow told him what he had guessed. It involves the ancestors. This matter must be kept a secret. If I had known, I wouldn't have asked, Yi Wuyo said. Father, you're the ruler of Night Moon. You should know. It's still early. In a few years we'll bring their family to Night Moon. Chen Chen's state of mind has also changed. He's no longer gloomy and scheming. He has become much more peaceful. People mature as long as they're alive, Night Sorrow said. Okay, Father will take this matter to heart. Yi Wuyo nodded. According to Father's cultivation, you can enter the pagoda of time and space to accelerate time cultivation. However, I think you should wait until Mother becomes a saint first, Night Sorrow said with a smile. I understand. By the way, that Hades 9 Yin is a big hidden danger. You have to be careful, Yi Wuyo said. Speak. Chapter 924. Night Sorrow shook his head. It's not a big problem. Father, don't worry. After staying with Night Sorrow for a while, Yi Wuyo left. He had always been worried about Night Sorrow. He was worried that Night Sorrow was young and handled some things carelessly. But now he was relieved because Night Sorrow had a calmness that people his age didn't have. Night Sorrow returned to the wooden boat and drank tea and chatted with the girls. Then the girls suggested going to Night Moon City to buy some dresses and clothes. Night Sorrow didn't want to go. He wanted to accompany Father Gu. Sikong Chuyu and the others pulled Wu Lingfei to Night Moon City. When Yi Shang arrived at the mansion, he took out a wine jar and poured a bowl of wine for Father Gu. Night Sorrow, you have a lot of things to do. You don't have to come and accompany me, Father Gu said to Night Sorrow. What are you talking about, Father? No matter how busy I am, I have time to accompany you, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Father Gu smiled and nodded. He knew that this was Night Sorrow. He was as filial to him as he was in Jianghu village. He was still the Night Sorrow who replaced him at a young age and went hunting to support the family. Father, there's something else I want to tell you. Don't be angry, Night Sorrow said to Father Gu. You never do anything against your conscience. I know that. Why would I be angry? Father Gu said with a smile. He was very happy. Night Sorrow ordered the two worlds to be connected, but he was still like a child in front of him. Father, I saw Qinshan a while ago. He's already married and has children. He's living an ordinary life. He knows that he was wrong and asked me to apologize to you on his behalf, Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow, I don't want to nag you, but you shouldn't have gone to see him. I'm afraid that he'll have other ideas and harm you, Father Gu said. Father, I can feel the kindness and malice in the hearts of the people of the 9 domains world when they face me. I'm sure that Qinshan's heart has changed. Perhaps it's because he's changed after experiencing so many twists and turns in life. He said that an ordinary life is what he should have. If he hadn't become calm, he wouldn't have invited me to tea. Let's go and take a look. After all, he once called you Godfather, Night Sorrow said. All right, after all, we lived under the same roof. He was originally a pitiful person. I also hope that he can live a better life. As long as he repents, I won't be calculative about everything. Old Man Gu nodded. After that, Night Sorrow led Father Gu to Jianghu village. After several teleportations, Night Sorrow and Father Gu arrived at Jianghu city. Then, led by Night Sorrow, the two of them arrived in front of Qinshan's tea house. Seeing Father Gu's arrival, Qinshan was stunned for a moment. He straightened his robes, knelt in front of Father Gu and kowtowed 3 times in a row. Qinshan did not say anything to beg for forgiveness, nor did he look at Father Gu's expression. He stood up. Perhaps others did not understand, but Night Sorrow understood that Qinshan was not kowtowing to beg for Father Gu's forgiveness. He was expressing remorse for the mistakes in his heart. Father Gu's forgiveness was not the most important thing to Qinshan. What he needed was an explanation for his own heart. Have a seat inside. After standing up, Qinshan nodded to Night Sorrow and Father Gu. Very good. Although you've taken the wrong path, you don't live a lowly life. That's good. I heard from Night Sorrow that you're married and have children. Bring them out for me to see, Father Gu said after entering the tea house and sitting down. Can I still call you Godfather? Qinshan asked in a low voice when he heard Father Gu calling himself his father. Go ahead. Father Gu nodded. He also felt the change in Qinshan. After staying in Qinshan's tea house for a while, Night Sorrow and Father Gu left. When they arrived at the area where Jianghu town was located, after greeting their old neighbors and friends, Night Sorrow and Father Gu bought some wine and food, then returned to the old bamboo building. In front of the tombstone behind the bamboo building, Night Sorrow saw a middle-aged man sitting cross-legged. Night Sorrow had never seen this middle-aged man before, but he was wearing the robes of the Night Moon dynasty. Wuxia greets the young master. The middle-aged man stood up and bowed to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that this was someone arranged by Wuxia. A mid-level venerable was enough. This subordinate and another brother are from Wuxia city. We take turns guarding there. When we rest, we come here to accompany our old brother. Wuxia looked at the tombstone. He, the other person, and the 2 people in the tombstone were all Wuxia's guards. They were all life and death brothers. You don't know the importance of this mission now, but you'll understand in the future. Also, this bamboo building is my home. When you rest, you can come here and help me take care of this place, Night Sorrow said. Young master, don't worry. We bought a mansion near the tea house. There's also a group of rank 5 people patrolling the area, Wuxia said. Night Sorrow nodded. At this time, Uncle Nyo and the others came to the bamboo building with wine and meat. Night Sorrow introduced Wuxia to everyone. He was an uncle who had come here to rest. After drinking with everyone, Night Sorrow and Father Gu left. If they hadn't gone back for a long time, the women would be worried. It was convenient to use the teleportation array, so Yishang quickly returned to Sky City. After sending Father Gu back to his mansion, Yishang went to the lakeside. Looking at the original chapter, Sikong Chuyu and the others had already returned. They were chatting on the wooden boat. Where did you run off to? Asked Sikong Chuyu. I went out with Father Gu for a walk. Did everyone have fun? Asked Night Sorrow. Night Moon City recovered really quickly. It's almost as bustling as some royal cities, but it's not as noisy, said Yang Lei. These are the robes we bought for you. Try them on. Aoi took out a few robes and handed them to Night Sorrow. Thank you, senior apprentice sister, said Night Sorrow. We picked them together, said Yang Lei. She glanced at Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow smiled and tried them on. They all fit very well. Then the women entered the space-time pagoda. They needed to tidy up, cultivate, and live. Sikong Chuyu Aoi and Yang Lei chose the 61st floor. Xue Shi and Wu Lingfei chose the 75th floor and 77th floor respectively. Night Sorrow also entered the top floor of the space-time pagoda. Night Sorrow, as your cultivation base has increased, my intelligence has also increased. Recently I've sensed some problems. Shao Kong appeared beside Night Sorrow. What problems? How can I help you? Night Sorrow looked at Shao Kong in surprise. I feel like I'm not complete. It's like I'm missing something. I'm a new item spirit. The old item spirit shattered. Perhaps when the old item spirit shattered, the space-time pagoda's main body was also injured, said Shao Kong to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow then began to talk to the 9 regions' essence. Speak. Chapter 925. Night Sorrow knew a few things. The space-time pagoda appeared in Central State City. The 9 regions' origins should know a little about the previous battle. As they talked, Night Sorrow understood a few things. The space-time pagoda was not a treasure from the 9 regions' world. It came from the Sky Profound world. However, an expert from the Sky Profound world, Yu Wenqiu, brought the space-time pagoda to Void Dao City to destroy it. However, what surprised him was that the Void Dao Saint King was very strong. This expert from the Sky Profound world was not his opponent. He fought and retreated and ran to Central State City to find his partner. After finding his partner, this expert from the Sky Profound world called Yu Wenqiu led people to kill the Void Dao Saint King. In the end, the Void Dao Saint King self-destructed. Everyone died together and the space-time pagoda was left behind in Central State City. The 9 regions' origin energy could confirm one thing. The space-time pagoda was like this back then. This meant that when the space-time pagoda appeared in the 9 regions world, it had 10 levels. Moreover, it did not have an artifact spirit. In the 9 regions world, the 9 regions origin energy knew about treasures with intelligence. After all, their natures were similar to his. After listening to the information provided by the 9 regions origin energy, Night Sorrow knew that even if the space-time pagoda was flawed, it did not appear in the 9 regions world. It should be in the Sky Profound world. Forever free of charge. Night Sorrow could not do anything about this. In the 9 regions world he could not help the space-time pagoda. After that, the 9 regions origin energy provided Night Sorrow with another piece of information. 150 years ago, someone broke out of the 9 regions world. However, the situation was not good now. He could feel that the person who left did not have a strong life force. After following Night Sorrow, the 9 regions origin energy understood a lot of things. It also knew about the Moon Emperor Yi Tian. It understood that the person who left was Yi Tian. Hearing this, Night Sorrow was stunned. So something happened to him? Yes, he is a life form from the 9 regions world. Also, he broke out of the 9 regions world. He is the only one who left in 10,000 years. Therefore I paid attention to him. His life force is not strong, but it proves that he is still alive. The 9 regions origin energy said. Which world did he go to? Night Sorrow asked excitedly. The Wuji realm. He cultivates the spatial attribute and has reached the pinnacle of the 9-star saint realm. That's why he has some insights. You can also sense that it is unrealistic for us from the 9-domain world to enter the Heaven Profound world. However, if we enter the Wuji realm, we can enter the Heaven Profound world through the Wuji realm. The 9-domain origin energy once again allowed Yishang to sense the world map around the 9-domain world. Yishang also knew about the existence of the Wuji world. He was not far from the 9-domain world and was even closer to the Profound Heaven world. The Heaven Profound world's people also came to the 9 regions world through the limitless world, Yishang said. The world. One world worlds world. Worlds. World. 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 World 2. After that, Night Sorrow understood some things. The infinite world and the Heaven Profound world were very close to each other and were connected by a spatial tunnel. However, those with high cultivations were unable to enter, as the infinite world was suppressed by the rules. Other experts were also unwilling to enter, because once the infinite world sensed danger, the master of the infinite world would appear and kill them. The heaven mystic world had countless subsidiary worlds, but a world master like this was a special case. It was no longer restricted by the laws of the heaven mystic world. Therefore the experts of the sky profound world were not willing to enter. Senior, can you sense if there are any world masters in the profound sky world? Night Sorrow asked. No, that is a mature world. The world's laws are self-contained and there is no need for the existence of a world master. Therefore, no one has been able to see or obtain the origin of the heaven profound world. The 9 zones origin Chi said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow heaved a sigh of relief. He planned to visit the heaven profound world when he had the chance. If the heaven profound world had a world lord, it would be troublesome. Because in a world, the world lord was almost invincible and could sense the entry of other world lords. If the heaven profound world had a world lord, then Night Sorrow would not be able to enter. If he entered, he would be discovered by the world lord of the heaven profound world and would definitely attack Night Sorrow. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow began to meditate and cultivate. The time here was 10 times faster and could quickly increase his cultivation. On a platform protruding from the cliff of the netherworld abyss, the 9 Dark Monarch opened her eyes and exhaled. She had just recovered from the destruction of her clone and the impact on her original body. After thinking for a while, the 9 Dark Monarch knew that the netherworld abyss had been defeated. She also knew the difference between her and Night Sorrow. Even if they were to fight in the netherworld abyss, she did not have the cultivation of a 3-star holy king and would not be able to defeat Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow himself was very strong and also had a powerful clone. In addition, the 9 Dark Monarch also knew that Night Sorrow was favored by the heavens. She did not expect Night Sorrow to control the origin of the supreme river space. In the 9 Dark Monarch's understanding, Night Sorrow controlled the supreme river space because she knew that the 9 zones world was broken. She did not consider that Night Sorrow was the world lord of the 9 zones world because there was a big difference between a world lord and a space lord. The 9 Dark Monarch also wanted to be like Night Sorrow and control the netherworld abyss, but she could not do it. The netherworld abyss was bottomless and the origin of the netherworld abyss was at the bottom of the abyss. The 9 Dark Monarch could not get close and could only cultivate here. Now, she hoped that Night Sorrow was stuck at the Holy King bottleneck and she could increase her cultivation. When the time came, she could surpass the supreme river space that Night Sorrow could control and enter the 9 zones world to fight Night Sorrow. The 9 Dark Monarch could not be blamed for her miscalculation. Controlling a space and controlling a world were two completely different concepts. A world was formed by a space's evolution. Only a space that had grown to a certain size was qualified to be called a world. The origin of a space was in the form of an origin stone. When it evolved to a certain extent, it would evolve into an origin bead. The origin of a world was an origin bead made up of many kinds of laws. It was completely different from a space's origin bead. Therefore, it was relatively easy to become the world lord. It was almost impossible to become the world lord. The two were on completely different levels. Even if the origin of a space had intelligence, it was still very immature. The origin of a world already had a complete consciousness. It would not recognize a master unless it was about to be destroyed. Night Sorrow could become the void fiendish space's master because of their attributes. He could also become the world lord of the 9 zones world because of the accumulation of various reasons. The main reason was that the 9 zones world was in great danger when it was broken. Night Sorrow knew a lot, thought a lot and worried a lot. Knowing that Yi Qianhua was fine, he began to worry about Yi Tian. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow began to cultivate. He now wanted to cultivate to the peak of the 9th level Saint Realm as soon as possible. Then, he could slowly stabilize his cultivation and cultivate. This was equivalent to accumulating in advance and building a foundation for entering the Saint King realm. Speak. Chapter 926. Before he started cultivating, Yi Shang gave Little Kong some more spirit stones. Yi Shang, actually, your 3 fiancés can also go to the 70th level and undergo time acceleration cultivation. They all have ultimate bodies and can withstand the pressure of the power of time. The main thing is that after you became a saint, my ability has also strengthened and I can control energy better, Lil Kong said. Alright, I will also bring the members of the God-slaying squad in so that their cultivation will be smoother, Night Sorrow said. Yes, but you will need spirit stones to support it, Shao Kong said. Speaking of spirit stones, Night Sorrow had a headache. Recently he had not obtained many spirit stones, but he had consumed a lot. Just as Night Sorrow was rubbing his forehead, the 9 regions origin energy told Night Sorrow that he actually had a source of spirit stones. The spirit stones inside the 9 regions world could not be excavated, as it would affect the development of the 9 regions world. However, at the edge of the 9 regions world, the turbulent flow of energy passed through the spatial barrier and formed spirit stones in some places. This situation made Night Sorrow very happy. Under the guidance of his 9 realms origin energy avatar, Night Sorrow left Sky City and flew to the edge of the realm's sea, arriving at the region where the spatial barrier was. Flying along the spatial barrier, he would excavate some spirit stones when he came across a place. However, no matter how many spirit stones there were, Night Sorrow would only excavate 1/3 of them. This would not affect the growth of the spirit stones. In half a month, Night Sorrow flew for millions of miles and excavated thousands of top-grade spirit stones. Night Sorrow did not put the spirit stones into his storage ring. Instead, he put them in the storage space on the first floor of the Spacetime Pagoda. Night Sorrow was not greedy. Although the 9 regions origin energy said that it was fine, he felt that it was enough. There was no need to continue excavating. Those were the resources and wealth of the 9 regions world. After settling the matter of spirit stones, Night Sorrow returned to Sky City. There were still close to 2 months before his parents' wedding. After Night Sorrow stored the members of the God-slaying team into the Spacetime Pagoda, he went to the top floor of the Spacetime Pagoda and began cultivating. Nearly 2 months had passed in the real world. Night Sorrow had been cultivating in the Spacetime Pagoda for 1.5 years. He had raised his quintessential energy cultivation to the late 9-star Saint stage and cultivated the myriad Daos treasured tome to the late 9-star Golden Body stage before coming out of seclusion. He had also used up all of his 4-clawed silver dragon's blood essence. Night Sorrow didn't intend to kill the 4-clawed silver dragon. After all, it was a life form of the 9-domain world. As the ruler of the 9-domain world, it wasn't appropriate for him to kill the life forms of the 9-domain world for his own needs. Yu Qing glared at Night Sorrow. "You little rascal, if you didn't come out, I would have crushed your messaging crystal. Didn't I tell you the time of your wedding? There are still a few days left. Many people have arrived at the Night Moon City. Your grandfather, great-grandfather, great-great-aunt and great-great-uncle are all receiving guests. Mother, don't be angry. I came out of seclusion." Night Sorrow hurriedly apologized. "In a while, come with me to meet your grandfather and grandmother as well as your uncle and cousin. They were in the Night Moon Dynasty camp some time ago. Because you were busy, I didn't bring you to meet them. They wanted to meet you but I didn't let them. After all, it's not appropriate for the elders to meet the younger generation," Yu Qing said. "That's my fault. I found out that the elders of Bayou City were in the Night Moon Dynasty camp. However, I happened to have something to do so I didn't meet them," Night Sorrow said embarrassedly. On the next chapter, when he found the members of the assassination hall, he also found the people of Bayou City. However, he had to deal with the matters of the underworld and had forgotten about meeting them. "It's fine. It's fine. Everyone knows that you're busy. No one is unhappy about this. Let's go now. Here's some good wine. Your grandfather doesn't have any other hobbies besides drinking. Here's some heart-cleansing tea. No matter what, you have to give your grandmother some gifts." Yu Qing had already prepared the gifts. "Mother, I'm sorry." Night Sorrow felt apologetic. "What are you saying?" Yu Qing helped her son tidy up his robes. "Do you need me to bring Chuyu and the others?" Night Sorrow asked. "There's no need for that for now. You'll be getting married in 2 days. At that time we'll formally meet and acknowledge each other." Yu Qing thought for a moment and did not intend to interrupt Sikong Chuyu and the others' cultivation. Under Yu Qing's lead, Night Sorrow and Yu Qing arrived at Sky City's guest house. Within the guest house's courtyard stood an old man with a long beard. He had a lion's nose and a tiger's mouth. He had a dignified expression and was currently cursing someone. It was for no other reason than that his son had beaten him in chess. The old man was none other than Yu Tianhe, the city lord of Bayou City, which was under the influence of Night Moon Dynasty. "Father, your temper is still so bad," Yu Qing said with a smile. "If Yukong was like you, I wouldn't be so angry. That bastard, I made a wrong move. I didn't even loosen my grip on him before he started messing around with me." Bayou City City Lord Yu Tianhe glared at a middle-aged man. The middle-aged man had a striking appearance. His appearance was similar to Yu Qing's, but he had an additional masculine aura. He stood there like an unsheathed sword. He was Bayou City's only junior city lord, Yu Qing's younger brother and Night Sorrow's uncle, Yu Kong. But now he was being scolded so badly that his nose was on the line. Night Sorrow, this is your grandfather and this is your uncle, introduced Yu Qing. Night Sorrow greets grandfather, greets uncle. Night Sorrow bowed to the two of them. Good, very good. I wanted to meet you a while ago, but it wasn't a good time to greet you. Sit. Yu Qing's expression changed very quickly. Just a moment ago he had been cursing angrily, but now he was smiling brightly. Grandfather, sit. Uncle, sit too. Night Sorrow helped his mother sit down before sitting down himself. After Yu Qing sat down, he directly yelled at Yu Kong, "You bastard, I told you to sit." Yu Kong, who was about to sit down, could only stand up awkwardly. He had made the right move, but the result was wrong. He could only endure his father's anger. Grandfather, this is the good wine my mother prepared for you. Try it and calm down. Night Sorrow stood up, opened the wine jar and poured a bowl for Yu Qing. I left for a while, but you're still angry. At this time, a white-haired woman walked into the guest house with a walking stick. Behind her were two women in their 20s. Madam, you're back. I'm not angry. It's just that little bastard. Yun Qinghe stood up and pointed at Yu Kong. He's a little bastard, but you're an old bastard. Aren't you afraid your grandson will laugh at you? The white-haired woman glared at Yu Qinghe before nodding at Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow greets grandmother. Night Sorrow bowed to the white-haired woman. Don't be so polite and don't be offended. Bayou City's Yu family only looks like a family when grandmother is here. If grandmother isn't here, the family will turn upside down. Yu Qinghe, don't you think so? The white-haired woman sat down and yelled at Yu Qinghe. Speak. Chapter 927. Madam is right. The Yu family needs Madam to oversee it, said Yu Qinghe with a smile. Yu Kong, don't you know what kind of person your father is? After suffering 100 times, he still doesn't learn his lesson, scolded the white-haired woman. You're right, mother. But father says he's number one in Bayou City when it comes to chess. I don't accept that, said Yu Kong. You don't accept that? I'll deal with you later. Yu Qinghe glared at his son. After listening to their conversation, Night Sorrow was speechless. Fortunately, his mother was like his grandmother. If she was like his grandfather and uncle, he would have died. But with his grandmother around, this family was still very harmonious. In addition, Yishang also knew that Bayou City belonged to the Yu family. However, the person who had the most authority was the wife of the city lord, Pan Jie, who was also his maternal grandmother. His maternal grandmother was also the strongest person in Bayou City. Night Sorrow, it was your mother who went home to visit her family that led to the accident. I'm very sorry that you had to wander outside for so many years. I've sent people to search for you, but there was no news. Pan Jie looked at Night Sorrow apologetically. Grandmother, you're exaggerating. Night Sorrow has been living well these past few years, said Night Sorrow as he stood up. Sit down. These are your two cousins Yu Xiaofei and Yu Xiaoluo. Pan Jie introduced the two women behind her to Night Sorrow. Yishang greets my two elder cousins. Yishang cupped his hands in salute to his two elder cousins. Grandmother, with the commander cousin, we can do whatever we want when we go out, said Yu Xiaoluo with a smile. At the same time she sized up Night Sorrow. What, did I let you suffer in the past? Yu Kong looked at his daughter with dissatisfaction. Shut up. If you had the ability, Bayou City wouldn't have a successor right now. Yu Qinghe glared at his son. Yu Kong fell silent once more. He also had two wives, but both of them were daughters. This caused him to have no status in the family. Night Sorrow had been listening the whole time. After lunch, he followed his mother back to his mansion. Mother, before you got married, you must have suffered a lot at home, Night Sorrow said with a smile. It's fine. Your grandfather doesn't yell at your mother, and your uncle respects your mother a lot. Yu Qing also laughed because the Yu family was indeed a bit different. That's good. Night Sorrow nodded. After chatting with his mother for a while, Night Sorrow and Yu Qing went to Night Moon City to meet the seniors who had come. Almost everyone from the Commander-in-Chief's residence had arrived. The saints and managers of the 9 regions world and the profound mysteries realm, who Night Sorrow knew, had also come to Night Moon City. Night Sorrow went to visit them one by one. Although he was the Commander-in-Chief, these people were his seniors and he respected them very much. After visiting them, he drank some wine with his seniors from the Medicine Valley. After chatting for a while, Night Sorrow returned to Sky City. He stood in front of the cliff in front of his mansion and looked at the lake. Night Sorrow's heart was filled with emotions. After all these years, Night Sorrow couldn't believe it himself. He was grateful to everyone who had accompanied him all these years. What are you thinking about? Yi Wuyo, who had just returned from Night Moon City, came to Night Sorrow's side. In the blink of an eye, more than 20 years have passed. Some things are as vivid as yesterday. I'm very grateful to those who have accompanied me all these years, Night Sorrow said. Don't think too much. Just treat those who are good to you well. You had a hard time when you were young. This was because of the war and also because I didn't fulfill my responsibility as a father. Thinking of Night Sorrow's suffering in Juyuan village, and thinking of Night Sorrow's struggle in Medicine Valley as a child, Yi Wuyo also felt uncomfortable in his heart. Father, in fact, I'm very happy now because my family is safe and sound, and the people around me are safe and sound. I'm very happy and content to be able to contribute to this safety. Night Sorrow looked at Yi Wuyo and said, I understand. Rest quietly for 2 days. You don't need to worry about your wedding. Your great aunt Xinyu will handle this matter very well, Yi Wuyo said to Night Sorrow. The only thing that was right was that he was a pirate. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that this was his family. They would think of everything for him. Then Night Sorrow went to the lake and looked at the glowing space-time pagoda. Then he got on the wooden boat, untied the rope and lay down on the deck chair. He let the boat drift with the current while he quietly looked at the sky. Without knowing when, Night Sorrow fell asleep. There were many people and things in his dream, and they were all things of the past. When he woke up, the moon was already high in the sky. Night Sorrow took a robe and covered himself with it. At this time Wu Lingfei, Sikong Chuyu, and the others flew over and landed on the wooden boat. What's wrong with you? You even removed your protective energy. It's so cold at night. Sikong Chuyu took out a blanket and covered Night Sorrow's body. I just want to experience the life of an ordinary person in the past. When I was young, I went hunting and set out before dawn. It's also like this. Night Sorrow said. No one said anything. They knew that Night Sorrow was a bit sentimental when he was quiet. After chatting for a while, Wu Lingfei brought the girls back to the lake. Then, she communicated with Xiao Kong and entered the 61st floor of the space-time pagoda, which was where Sikong Chuyu and the others cultivated. Aunt Fei, Night Sorrow's mood is a bit unstable, Sikong Chuyu said worriedly. You don't understand. This is a good thing, a rare good thing. In fact, many people don't understand what is the key to entering the Saint King realm from the Saint realm. Wu Lingfei shook her head. Then Wu Lingfei told the girls, including Xuexi, the key to entering the Saint King realm from the Saint realm. Although Wu Lingfei's cultivation wasn't as high as Xuexi's, her talent was astonishing. She had the inheritance of her race, so she knew a lot. What was needed to enter the Saint King realm from the Saint realm was the state of mind. Over the countless years there had been many peak saints, but Saint Kings had only appeared 10,000 years ago. That was because the Saint realm wasn't high enough. To enter the Saint King realm from the Saint realm, one had to break through to the nascent soul stage. Breaking one's core pearl to form a nascent soul was a realm that could only be touched by one's cultivation. It required one's state of mind to return to the origin. What Aunt Fei means is that Night Sorrow is now unknowingly laying the foundation for entering the Saint King realm? Aoi asked with some surprise. That's right, but why is his state of mind so high? Why has he reached this step? Aunt Fei doesn't understand. Wu Lingfei shook her head. It should be related to becoming the 9 Regions World Master. After becoming the 9 Regions World Master, he understands the world. His state of mind is actually a cultivation method, Xuexi said after thinking about it. Yes, that should be the case, so you don't need to be nervous about his situation. There's no need to interfere, Wu Lingfei said. Sikong Chuyu and the others nodded. This matter was too big. If they delayed Night Sorrow's state of mind and delayed Night Sorrow's breakthrough to the Saint King realm, the consequences would be serious. Speak. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.